this is going to be this topic almost had like 200 comments. Basically, there's this thing where I always post about submissive women. First, I asked, what is a submissive woman? And then I posted that um, I don't use the word submit in my home because submission means that someone is superior to you. I prefer to say that there's two people in a home who are partners and they run the show together. So together they're both leaders in their home. And so with that there was there was hella kickback about it, about a woman's natural place is to be submissive, and that a man is to run the household, and that's he's to be the leader of the household, and that's pretty much it. Like, he's supposed to respect his woman and honor his woman and respect his woman and value her opinion, but at the end of the day, it is the man who is the head of the house, the leader of the house, who has the final say. And I personally don't agree. I'll be damned if I help build half of the house, bring in half of the income, do half of the work,
Just
and
got through watching Wakanda Forever. I
and
need a distraction.
feel like a
I
man
see.
is going to have
Yeah.
the final say because he has a penis.
How did you like
So,
Wakanda Forever?
that's where I was
I thought it
about
could
it.
have been
And
better.
I'm going to
It was
read
good,
some of the
but I really
comments
thought
of some of the
it was missing
fellas
a
and
lot
some of the
of
things that they
what
were
made the
saying,
first
and
Black Panther
some of the
amazing.
women who
And
feel like
I
they
think
do
that the
want
girl
to
who plays
be
Shuri, I
a
just don't think
submissive
that she
woman.
could
And let me say this. Let me back
carry
up
that
off a
role.
submissive woman.
Yeah, that ain't
I'm
right,
going to
mama.
ask everybody on the panel, do you feel like the man is the head of the household? He is the leader of the household. And what does that look like to you if he is the leader of the household? Candace.
And that's a good question. That could have been the title. Do I feel like the man? Okay, I'm gonna have a clarifying question. Are we assuming that he is the leader because of his gender or sex?
Yes, he's the man of the house. He has the final say. He's the one who's
So,
control over the house.
final decision, weighing pros and cons. Final decision is the man.
Right.
Yes.
No.
Very concise. Just
You don't.
can you elaborate on that, Candace? just
Oh.
she just no. It's just like I'm just saying because mom was like and share your thoughts on this and just give me your ins and outs and no, that's god dang, Candace.
I feel like you get this. He's like, I don't know.
No, because I think that earning. I think you have to earn the right to be in charge of other people, and you have to earn the right to make decisions on behalf of other people. Um, when you're looking at the evidence or you're weighing options or whatever the case may be, you're discussing things, you're planning for the future, you're making decisions. If you're making decisions on behalf of someone else and it's affecting their lives and the outcome of their lives and potentially the rest of their lives, you have to earn that right, and you don't earn that right by just being born something.
Okay, so I before we get to you, November, I want to follow up with a question directly related. And hold on to that question, Ma, because in case I forget, just ask me again. So do you feel like there is a head of the household, but it's just based on context?
Yeah, there has to be a final decision maker, but I think that could be even more based on what we're talking about. Who is the better expert? Like, if some people are just better at finances, so the final decision maker probably should be the person that's better at finances.
Okay, so let me follow. Hold on, Ma, because I see you burning up. Hold on. So based on your interpretation, well, my interpretation of what you're saying, That does that not mean that there is no head of the household? Because let me give you this example. If the man is the expert when it comes to fitness and training, and they have a
Mhm.
gym, the decisions related to that gym will most likely be followed up with him. It'll be his say, correct?
Yeah. I
Right,
mean, if yeah,
because that's his expertise,
if
that's his
he's the
field.
expert, right?
Now, say this couple has two businesses. They also have a cosmetology business, and the woman went to school for cosmetology. Would that not that same standard should apply to her then, correct?
Her being the expert in
Yes, yes.
cosmetology,
So if they
yes.
have a cosmetology business, all decisions should be finalized through her, correct? If this is the hypothetical that we're putting forward, we have a couple. They own two businesses, one gym and one hair salon. All final decisions should be relayed through the expert, meaning that the decisions related to the gym should be related through the man who is the expert in that field, and all decisions related to the cosmetology and the hair salon should be relayed through the female who is the expert in that field, right?
I like splitting hairs too. So what if are they the expert at the talent or are they the expert at handling the business?
Well, I mean,
Because I could be an expert at making cakes, but that don't mean I'm an expert at making business decisions.
right, but that's the
That's a good
thing.
point.
So that's why my hypothetical has the situation that it is, because my
Mhm.
hypothetical is like, if this is their expertise, this is their field. You know what I mean? So if
Okay, so yeah.
just like with November would trust me to train her at the gym, and she would follow my lead because that is where she trusts my expertise to be at, right? Because this
Right.
is where I have my experience. But when I need something for my hair, I follow November like a lost dog because I don't know what I'm doing. So
Mhm.
I follow
Mhm.
her lead. So because I know her expertise, mine pales in comparison to hers. So
Mhm.
my only thing with that is in that specific context, there is no final decision maker. There is no, at the end of the day, I'm going to make this decision. I'm going to choose it. It is contextualized, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, with that being said, does that mean that in your definition of, ultimate decision maker, does that mean that there really is no ultimate decision maker? Because doesn't that mean that it can be either or?
Yes, I guess if unless they're like co-managers, but I mean like, but that goes when I say that that goes back to what Tasha said, like your partners, like
Right.
you you supplement each other's weaknesses.
Right. So I only asked that
Um,
because you said
uh,
that at the end of the day there would be, there should be a final decision maker, and so but you added context to
And
your
they have to
situation.
and
So
they have to earn that place. They have to
right, they
earn
have
that
to earn that
position.
place. So if the man earned that place as just say hypothetically the man earned his place as
mhm.
the final decision maker, would he be the final decision maker even when his expertise is not, you know, exceeding that of his partner?
Possibly, possibly. I think it depends on how they've earned their right. Of course, it's different for everyone, right? But I think like to generalize for a minute, like we all want to feel safe and we all want to trust someone and we want that person to be the people that are closest to us.
We
And
want a
so
leader. We
if
want a
you
leader. We want
yes,
our man to
yes,
be a leader.
as much as we like to be in control, we want to be able to look to something else like okay, yes, like even if it's for whatever reason. But with that being said, I feel like if you earn that right and you earn that trust enough, then you do get the right to take more risks because you have proven or whatever that you are able to take a risk and it'll pay off. And even if it doesn't, like we're good.
Okay.
And so in that case, you probably could say, okay, I'm not the expert in this situation, but I really think this is what we should do, and then you can go that way.
Okay. I
And
just wanted to follow that up.
it
I was
says
just
that
curious.
Kurt
No,
is
that was a good
online.
question.
It says that Kurt is online. Is he here?
Yes, I've been that's why where I've been going. I've been sending messages. We've been talking, so I'm helping him join the server. So November, I
Okay.
wanted to hear your thoughts about Mom's question. Mom, can you repeat that question for November and me?
So it's funny because I almost want to flex it, but
Sure, go ahead.
um,
It's fine.
because I'm kind of listening to what Candace is saying, and Candace said, because I said, should the man have the final say in decisions that's made in the home, because he's the man, because he's the head of the household, because he's the leader. So he's the one who has the final say. We're not buying a car. We're not taking this trip. We're going to buy a house. We're not going to buy a house. We're should the final say, even he'll consult with you, but the final word is his. And as women, we let it be, because he's the husband, he's the lead, he's the head of the household. So if the husband says, well, we're going to look at buying a house, I'm going to consult with you, I'm going to talk with you, we're going to shift these ideas back and
I
forth.
know, right?
But at the end of the day, I'm
Eternity
going to
just
take
be
into
running
consideration
around.
what you said, Candace, what you said, November. I'm going to take in consideration what you said, but the final say is up to me, because I'm the
Didn't like
husband,
the ending,
I'm
but
the
I did cry. It
leader,
was beautiful.
and
Send
I'm
off
the
shower.
man
I
of the
know, it was so
household.
sad.
Whether
Oh my
it's
God, I
buying a
was so
house,
close to
whether
just.
it's we're
Oh my
going on
God,
a
I was
trip,
tears was
whether
about to
it's what
flow.
happens with the
It's gonna be the
kids,
shortest podcast. This is gonna be a
whatever
long
happens
podcast,
in the
Nessa. I
household,
promise you.
we talk with
Because
one
this
another,
is a
but at
lot.
the
There's
end
a
of the
lot of
day, I'm
nuance
the
and
decision
complexities with
maker,
this discussion.
because I'm the leader.
Either stand beside
So
me
if
or
he
behind
earns
me.
that right,
Listen,
Candace, if he
Jessica,
earns that
I'm
right,
here
November,
for
he
it.
is
I'm hearing you.
responsible. He's
And the
financially
default is gotta
savvy.
ask the wife or go
Um,
ask your mother. He
he's
clearly
great with the
isn't leading.
kids. Does he then earn that
That's good.
right
That's
to
important.
tell
Hey,
you,
M.
Candace,
Hello,
that
Jisoo.
you
Good
don't
morning
get to
to
buy
you.
your Lexus, that you don't get to go on a trip because we need to, kind of cut down on our spending? Does a man then get to be the final decision maker because he's the leader of the house?
Okay, yeah, my mic is good.
You want me to go
Are-
again?
No,
Or November?
November. I was
Let's go with
asking November.
November.
I think for me, I don't think that you get the final decision because you're a man. But for me personally, I feel like in certain instances you would, kind of like what Candace was saying. You have to absolutely earn that right with me too, because I already look for a man that can kind of lead and one that I can follow anyways. And I'm kind of a little bit indecisive. So when I know
Kinda.
that I have a type that when I look for a man, okay, relax. I always look for someone to guide me. So I look for you to kind of have the final say anyways. Because I most of the time can't make my mind, yes. But it's always with somebody that I know is going to lead me in the right direction. Like if I don't feel like you're gonna lead me in a proper direction, then I'm not gonna listen to you at all. But I don't feel like you have the final say because you're a man. I feel like you have the final say because I trust what you're giving me. I trust the knowledge that you're giving me.
Okay.
So I'm going to give this to both of you two then. You found a husband. You found someone that you absolutely trust, and they've proven themselves. They've got an amazing track record. You can trust this person. They got you. Then do this is marriage. You're ready to marry this person because you trust them that much. Then do you allow them to have the final say? They've earned it. You love them enough to marry them and you trust them enough to marry them. Then do you then allow them to have the final say because they're the leader, they're the man of the house?
It depends on what we talked about.
No. It can't depend on what we're talking about, right? See, that's okay. So then that's what me and Daquan was talking about earlier. And that is what I think a lot of the men were saying on my page. They were saying, hey, thanks for joining us. I needed you on the show because you had such a strong opinion. So thank you for
Hello,
joining
Kurt.
us,
Hello.
Hello.
So, and I'm gonna let you speak in a moment because you had such a powerful voice. It was like you and 4 other guys who had such a powerful voice that you frustrated me, and I wanted to choke you and kick you in your forehead. So,
Oh no.
so thank you so much for joining me. But
Thank you.
but it's interesting, Curtis, if you listen to what they're saying, they're kind of agreeing with you and
Yes.
kind of steering away from what I said. But I'm going to say one of the things that one of the gentlemen said on my page, and something that Daquan was saying earlier. Women want to be led, but don't want to be told what to do, right? That's what you were saying, November, where you're just like, well, it just depends. Well, it can't
Yeah.
depend. You're either going to let this man lead because he's the leader of the home and you
Mm,
want to be led. You want someone to be the man of the household and guide you. And you know what I mean? He would take what you're saying into consideration. But at the end of the day, he is the leader of the household. He
mm.
is the man of the household. Are
Right.
either you, Candace, or you, November, ready to relinquish and submit to a man when it comes to him being the leader, the
Look at
man of
November's
the
face.
household.
Look at her face. She's like, oh my god, oh my
What's so funny
god.
is if I had a man that treated me like a princess, I would do it with no problem. Like
Really?
Kwani could tell me what to do. He'd be like, "Go read a book," and I would go read that book.
You know what, cousin?
I
I literally told Ma this. I told Mom this. I said, November, I said, it's the way that I communicate with November and the respect that November has for me and my position that if I tell her to do something, she trusts that I have her best interests when I'm telling her to do it. So if I did say, November, go read a book, there's probably a good reason that I'm telling her to go read that, and she trusts that there's a good reason that I'm telling her. I'm not just telling her because me say go do this. I'm telling her because she trusts that I am like, I'm telling you, you should do this because it not only benefits you, but it benefits me and it benefits us. You know, so that would be the logic that I think that she would use, and especially I think a big part about it is that when I tell November something, I don't bark it at her. And November has communicated with me on lots of times that she's a softie, and I know this. I've always known this. So the way that you communicate with her, you can put it in a way that does not hurt her feelings, and you can guarantee you she will go ahead and do what it is that you want her to do. She's cool. So that's a big part of her communication that I've learned from her in a better way to communicate with women, that you don't have to be me man say do this now. You know, some people prefer gentle communication. So and November's one of them people.
So, Curtis, what is your thoughts about the man of the household and a woman submitting to a man? Is this something that a man has to have in order to feel like a man?
Well,
Hey Xander,
um, I don't believe
make sure
that
everyone hits the like button to
a
support this
man
video.
has to have
Hey,
that to
much
feel
love,
like a
brother.
man. But
With Japan, my mom
as I
shows
was
the
saying
money in the house, and
earlier,
my dad gives her full
when I was
amount.
going back and forth,
Interesting. So your dad
um,
earns the money, but your
I
mom
believe that
controls what is done
that
with
is
the
the man's
money. Can
place.
you elaborate on that for me,
And
Jisoo?
I guess it was like this misconception
Always been a great leader.
with me
People come to
saying
me to get things
that just
done. Yeah, I'm not
because
so
we
good at
are
fixing
men,
stuff and
that we
managing money.
have
I
to
don't think
have
because a man
control,
can do that, he should
that
lead a
we have to
household.
have control
Interesting,
without earning it,
Jessica. Very
or
interesting.
that we are going to have control
Gender
and we
roles
are
don't
going
always
to
work.
abuse that control.
Absolutely.
And the the whole issue was with the word submit. I was going back and forth, and certain people were saying, I will never use that word in my household. I am not going to
That was me.
submit
You
to
don't
a
have to say
man
certain people. It was me.
because we are equal. And I was saying that we are equal in so many ways, but I said within a household, the man should be the head. There's no equality. And it depends. It could be 51 to 49, but I believe the man should be the head. And if you marry somebody and if you trust that man to do his job, he, you won't even know that he feels like there is some type of difference because he will treat you right. So submission is earned to the point where if you are in a relationship with somebody, why would you get into a long-term relationship and why would you marry somebody if you don't trust them? It's all about trust. It's all about how they treat you before you actually get married. If you see red flags, don't marry this individual. You need to know that as a man, I'm going to have this authority, and my wife is going to listen to me. I should not have to fight and have a tug of war with her. That should
You
happen in the
said,
dating
okay,
process.
hold on. You said you have the authority. See, there's trigger words
Exactly.
Oh,
for you, bro.
there's trigger words big time when it comes to mom.
Exactly.
Listen, I've said this on other shows before, but sometimes when I want to make my mom mad for no reason, I just be like, "Hey, woman, you go in that kitchen and you submit to me," and I gotta run. I gotta take off because I know I done made her mad.
Yes.
It's
But
trigger words for sure.
I never really use that word authority because it's already expected. I am in that position to be the leader. I am the I am the I am the head. So you've already given me that. So I don't have to go back and use the word ever again. We've already established that. So
So
in the
you
process
don't
of
believe that you said that a relationship could be 51-49. You don't believe that a relationship should ever be 50-50.
okay, what I was saying as far as with this thought of equality, we are equal. We, we all have the right to work and make the same amount. We all have the right to do anything that we want to do. But in a relationship, the only reason why I said 51-49 was because I was saying that the man is, so even if it's 50-50, fine. I will give you that. It could be 50-50, it could be 100-100. But at the end of the day, the man, any relationship I'm in, I am going to be the head of the household. I am going to ask you. I'm not going to make any decisions without your input. I'm going to run everything across you. I'm going to use your guidance to help guide me. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take all the information and I'm going to take it all. And if what you say makes more sense, I'll do it your way. But at the end of the day, if it's a situation to where I believe that my way is better based off of everything that you said, I am going to go with that. And you should
And
give me the
she has to
ability to
be
make that
okay with
decision.
that.
So can I ask Kurt? May I ask you a question? Um,
Yeah.
So, on the example that you just gave, where you said that if you like her idea better, you would do it her way. So, in that instance, you are describing how you would be the one to do the action or take the action, but you would be following her guidance or her advice or her
Yes.
recommendation to do it. But it would
Yes. I
still be
would,
you doing the action. So, at the end of the day, it would be your decision to take her advice, right?
so it depends on this, right? And this is where it get a little bit, this is where it get dicey at. Because if we are doing something around the house or we are budgeting and you have the responsibility to budget, I'm giving that to you. So there's certain things that I'm not going to question if well like that if that responsibility is delegated down to you. I'm going to follow what you have to say because I trust that you are going to do the right thing, you
So,
know. But
so, um, at that point, right? So I can see where it's all connected at now. This is very interesting for me because I
I'm
have
actually
some
glad that
trouble.
we were able. I'm actually glad that we were able to get him on to
Yeah,
hear him,
yeah,
because sometimes when you're reading
yeah.
yes,
messages,
It's very
that's
hard
why
to
I
get the
really,
full picture of what you're trying to say.
yes, because what he's saying does not sound harmful at all. You know
it's
what I
not.
mean? But
It
it
just
would,
sounds like
but
it wouldn't work for you,
it just no, it wouldn't work for it. It won't.
right?
It's not.
Which
It
I don't,
will not.
which I don't think it's meant to though. I think that the best thing about this is that Kurt, you're describing the thing that works for you, right? You know, this is something that you feel like is the blueprint of how you're going about things in your relationship. You feel like this is how I'm going to do things. I'm going to function, right?
Yes, because if it was the opposite, where the woman was like, okay, I'm going to be the final say so, I am going to be the head, I would not be in that kind of relationship.
But
No,
okay,
I
no,
mean, I
no.
so
wouldn't.
I'm just curious. I know, Mom. I'm sorry. I keep going in. I got so many questions there. I got I got so many questions. So what I think Mom and even Candace have discussed and advocated for is the idea that the it's not necessarily the opposite. If the man is not the leader or the head of the household, that does not necessarily mean that the woman is the head of the household. And I don't think that even Mom, as feminist as she is advocating for that. I think that they are advocating more of a thing where, like, on my perspective and my interpretation is that there is no head of the household because we are the head of the household. you know,
Yes, that's what I
because
was getting earlier.
I can't be the head of the household without you, and you can't be the head of the household without me. You know, we
Yes,
are the two heads of this household. So
yes,
I think that that's kind of where our points are meshing, but also kind of colliding. You know.
yes. That is what she was saying earlier. Was we do everything equally? We are equal. Everything is equal, and I'm like, men and women in so many ways are equal, but in so
Mm.
many ways that we're not equal.
True.
We have good differences, we have bad differences, but we
Hmm.
all work together.
Yeah.
So I just feel like for me, you know, I have to, it's just like when you tell like a woman, so it's certain things that you have to do,
Delegate it down. I know.
against a man to make your woman feel a
It's the
certain kind
same
of way.
reaction my mom had.
And vice versa, the woman has to do for like the man.
Mm.
I mean, so if a woman I'm with says that I'm the head of the household, even if I'm not, if she makes me believe that, then I'm cool. You know?
So you know what's interesting, Kurt, is that it almost seems like you feel the way that you feel, but you wouldn't be uncomfortable with the idea of compromising and almost, sharing responsibilities and authorities with, a woman that you are with. It almost sounds like you agree to an extent, but disagree a little bit. Am I reading that right?
Yes, I agree to the point where it's not a dictatorship. It's not my way or the highway.
Huh?
A relationship ain't gonna work that way.
I can dig it.
But at the end of the day, I need to know that if we are in a serious relationship, we are married, that you are giving me the ability to make that final decision,
Mm,
that you're giving me the ability to make that final say, because I am not going to abuse that trust. I am going to make sure that I run things across you. And there may be some times where I'd be like, well, no, it's going to happen this way. Like if we out and like there's like some kind of danger or something, and I tell you to shut up, then you better shut up.
mm,
And you may not like it at that time period. But if I'm taking control of that situation, so there may be some times in some type of emergency or some type of situation to where, yes, I may put my foot down and go there. And you may not like it at the time, but it's for the best. But
mm,
nine, but most decisions are going to be made collectively, because that's how you work in a relationship, by making things compromise. You have to compromise. If you go into a relationship and you beat your chest and you saying that I'm the man, so you need to do what I have to say, and you haven't earned that, then like you're gonna chase that woman away. And then the only way you're gonna get her back is if you become some like abusive person. And that's not me. And some
mm.
men are so caught up in their
Well,
own stuff
you're
that
gonna accept that?
the
Most likely
majority
not.
of
Most
abusive
men with
men
those
are abusive for that
points of
reason,
view would not be able to
because
tolerate
they want that power and
what
they're
they
not
give.
getting it from their
You
woman.
know.
So they try to beat it out of them
Hey,
in
Alexander.
different ways,
Hello.
physically,
Welcome. Welcome.
emotionally, whatever. You know,
I
all I'm
trust my man
saying
to do his
is,
job and still run my
if I'm in
household.
a
Very
relationship,
interesting question.
if you trust
He's the
me
one that works in the
and
heads
you
of the
give me
household.
that
We
authority, the
he
ability
controls
to
like
make that
20%
choice,
of it. My
then the
mom
right
has the
choice is gonna
last
be
say.
made. And
So
then
your
if
mom
not,
has the last say with
like the
financial
door is right
decisions, but
there.
he's the head of the household regarding
I mean,
everything
that's just
else.
how I.
So,
Jisoo?
so Candace in November, what do you think about what he just put down?
You want to go first?
No, you can go first.
Uh,
Is
I'm
eternity
like, that was
walking?
a lot.
Huh?
Is eternity walking back there?
No, she be
Oh my
trying.
Call
god.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought I seen her little head come up and was waddling. I was about to drive all the way over there like, you god dang walking already. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem. Sorry, 1 second. I mean, I think like for the most part, we were pretty much on the same page. Like, I think we both agree that it's something that's earned, and if the man has earned that right, I agree with November. Like, there's back to what I was saying kind of earlier. Like, there's rest in having a leader, so it's not something that is a bad
Hold on, repeat
thing.
that. I like what you just said. What did you just say? There is what?
Rest,
Rest, like peace.
yeah,
like
Yeah,
that.
and having a leader. So like, I mean, I draw parallels to like your job, right? So, and so I was also thinking like, there's usually one boss and they have the final decision. But
Wow.
so there is you know, there's comfort in
Wow,
having
Jisoo,
someone
that's
to look
very
to.
interesting.
So, and
Now,
if that
Jisoo,
person
is that a very
is
traditional
someone
kind
who
of
has a good track record, like I said,
gender
chances
role
are
kind of thing,
they're going to
or
get leeway to
are
make
your
decisions
parents
for the
like kind of
future.
like a
So
new age kind of thing
I
that
think we're
isn't
pretty much
normal? Like, is that
on a
normal
Would
similar
you
in your
page.
like
culture,
would
Jisoo,
you would
for
you
the
be
mom
Yeah.
to be in
okay
charge of
with
the
him
home money
having
and the
the
children,
final say? You're not going on a
or
trip.
is that like kind of a thing that's just
Well,
now
he wouldn't
happening
say that to
recently?
me.
What if he did?
He wouldn't.
Say what did it say what now? Huh?
I said, what if he says you can't go on that trip? We're not taking another trip. Candace
Bicho!
is
Well, if he's saying that to me, then it's probably because we're trying to save for an even bigger trip. So I'm not stressing. It's probably because we just got back from like a month-long vacation. So
what if he
that
just
scenario
felt
would
like
happen.
if he said we can take 3 trips this year or
Hello,
2 trips
Mugchick.
this year and
Hello.
that's it. We're gonna
So
have
what's
to
the
cut
debrief
back
of the
on this.
topic? So if you look at today's
Why?
title, today's title is probably the
I asked
best
why.
way.
So
Like,
Curtis,
I can
that
elaborate a
whole
little more on today's title.
so
So
with
why
the
do
because
whole
men feel
back
the
and
need to
forth,
have a
like
submissive woman? Are men
I would just need more
are men and
information.
women equal?
Okay,
So we're just having a
if it was a
dialogue with a
situation
couple of
like
men
that,
and a couple of
it
women
would have to be
with
it's
the
probably
kind
some
of
type of
gender role
financial.
dynamic
It's probably
and
have to do with
the
finances,
breakdown of
or
what
like
a
it has to do with
submissive woman
time.
is and why do
But
so
9 times
many
out of
women
10,
say that they
even with a
require
child,
their
and I'm
woman
not
to
comparing
submit
women
to
to
them.
children per se, but if you
So far,
give a
that's pretty
good
much
solid
what we've gone over.
explanation of why,
And Kurt is
that
actually an individual who did
she
say
should understand
that
that
he
it's
feels
for
like
the
his
best
woman should be
interest.
submissive to him and that he
Now,
has the
you
final
have the
say.
ability to
But at
fight
the same
back and
time, he
say,
also
well,
believes
I
in
think
compromise and
we should
understanding
we should do this
you know,
because,
delegating
and
responsibilities
I
to
would
each
take that into
person based
account.
off their expertise.
But
So
at the end of
it's
the
very
day,
interesting
if
that he
I
has
say
lots of ideologies
we're
that
going
we
to take a 3
share,
trips a year and this is
but he
why,
also has ideologies
I
that are,
hope
you know, the
that he
man has the
trusts me,
final
because what's
say.
going to happen, we are going to go back and forth, and then it's going to become a thing, and it's going to become an argument, and then we're going to have a lot of discourse within our relationship because you hear what I'm saying and you just don't want to do it
Mm,
for whatever
mm,
reason.
Okay, I have
mm.
another question for Kurt again. I haven't really gotten to speak about what I think about anything because I just keep asking
Oh yeah,
questions. But I'm cool with it because I feel like it's good to get a perspective. Because if you aren't familiar, Kurt, I'm typically doing the show with all women. Typically the only
okay.
man, which I am fine with. But to get
I
the
know you
perspective
invited
of
me,
not
so I'm
just
very happy.
not just a man, but a man who doesn't necessarily think the same way that I do, and a black man at that. So it's very important
Mhm.
that we have that discussion. So,
Thank you for
Kurt,
joining us. You were very
Well, well,
brave.
this is
hey,
it's,
keep doing this way.
it's not
It's
an easy
all
dialogue.
good.
So Kurt, when it comes to the idea of why, so, let me rephrase the question.
Mhm.
Why do you feel like a woman? Do you like? So there's two parts to this question. So you do feel
Okay,
like a woman should submit. We'll use that word in quotations. Submit to a
okay,
man. Do right? Yes or no?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So why do you feel like that?
Okay, sorry.
Like what just can you elaborate on some of the reasoning of just the basic principles of why you feel
Okay.
like a woman should submit to the man and why you feel the man um because he is a man, what does that mean and where does he get his authority from as a man to be able to delegate responsibilities to the woman and why should she obey his authority?
Okay.
Curtis, if I may, I just want to I'm not going to speak for
Yeah,
you
yeah.
because you a man, but
Come
but
on now.
it
Come on now. But it's
was
fine.
said that it was the natural order.
Yes,
It's the natural order.
Oh,
So
okay,
yes.
cool.
go
So
ahead.
yeah, just please elaborate on that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So based off of my beliefs,
Hmm.
my religious beliefs,
Okay.
I understand that I'm Christian, and I understand that everyone isn't,
Hmm.
and everyone doesn't follow the Bible, and so I'm not going to particularly go there per se. But I will say that based off of that based off my belief is the man being the head and the woman being the helpmeet. That's where the majority of that comes from.
Okay.
You know, I also believe that men are more logical and women are more emotional. And I'm not saying that men don't make emotional decisions, because they do. Emotional decisions for a man is really bad, because usually somebody gonna end up dead or something. But that's another story. Um, but what I am saying that comes from, so like it does basically come from my beliefs, where saying that God has put the man in like a certain position.
Okay.
And that's why I said about the man submitting.
Oh, okay.
But I will say this, submission is done in both ways, because if I want to go to a certain restaurant and you want to go to a certain restaurant, I will submit and say, okay, we will do it your way. Or I will ask you to marry me and I will submit to you by asking you to be my wife. Men submit to their wives every single day, all the time, and you don't even realize it that that you do, because that's how it goes within a relationship. But as far as submitting, the biggest submission is you letting me be in that you allow me to
I'm gonna
be the
get to
head
y'all
of
in a
the household.
second.
You allow me to
What
get
does
that final
that
say.
mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? So let me ask you this, and then I
Okay.
want to get to November, because November, you seem like you are actually, which blows my mind. And then I want to go back to Candace, because you guys actually came from a household where your mother was, that's she like,
Hey Tara,
You know what
hello,
I mean? Like
hello,
she was
welcome,
very
welcome.
submissive.
Hey, we got 10 people here.
What you say,
Fantastic.
November?
Oh well,
She like
7 or
submission
10.
is
I don't know if it's
power.
10 or 7. I don't know.
Yes,
But
like
it
no,
says
like for
10
real.
on one thing and
Their mother
7 on another.
is
I'm gonna
super
go with 10 because
submissive.
it makes me
Like,
feel better. But hello,
she
welcome everybody. At
definitely agrees with you. Like a woman's
the end of the
place
day,
is
it's
a
all of what
helpmate.
you guys are
She's
comfortable with.
there to
That's
help
very
her
true,
husband.
Alexander.
She's there.
Which I'm
He's
glad
the
that I
leader.
asked Kurt
What he
that
say
because
is what go. That's what roll.
Kurt is pretty
And
much telling me what
and
he is
she's there
comfortable
to
with based
help
on
him.
his religious
She says
upbringing.
we
Yeah.
helpmates. So
Inside too.
anyway,
Religious misogyny, got it. But I
I
mean,
feel
most
like
religious
with
beliefs are based in some sort of
some of
chauvinism
this
or
with
misogyny or
November, I think
male
I'm
or
surprised
patriarchal
with you.
dominance. You know,
And
so
Curtis,
at
if you
least I can
would, I
have an
feel like,
understanding of where that
so
misogyny
when a
comes
woman is,
from.
because
You know,
November, you kind of
does it
you
believe
kind
that
of
because of Christian
you
ideology and not
froggy,
his
like
own as a
you
stereotype?
you will pop
I
off.
mean, I
So
think
I
it's a
think that I was
combination of
surprised to
societal
hear that
standards, but more
you're
or
really
less it's
looking
a
for a
Christian thing.
man to kind of tell
You
you
know?
what to do. Um,
I think it's more or less of a Christian
so
thing rather than a
I
societal thing.
guess, what does it look like for
I knew he was going
us
to bring up
as
the whole men
women
are more logical and women are
to
more emotional. I was going to push back on that,
submit
Jessica.
to a
I was
man and
absolutely going to
just
push
be
back on that.
okay
I feel like that argument
with
is
his
completely
final word
debunked
if we
and
are so
null and
strong?
void. I
Candace,
think
you've
the
been
idea
independent for a really
of
long
women being
time.
more emotional is
So,
completely
what does
a
that look
logical
like? Would you
fallacy.
guys be able to, as strong as you two
I
women
mean,
are,
logical men I
would
come
you
in
be
contact with
able
my father and my
to
brother indeed.
to
That's the thing, Jessica.
just
I'm
let
going to
this
push back on
man
that
take
point. I'm
control
going to
and
let them elaborate on
call
theirs,
all
but
the
I am going to
shots?
push back on
And I
that
hear
point.
what you're saying, Curtis, where
I
you're
grew up
just
with my
like,
mom running the whole
yeah,
house.
I have the
Yeah.
final say, but I am going to
I know a
respect
lot
you
of
and
people
listen
who
to
grew
you.
up
But
with
at the
their
end of the
moms
day, if I
being,
say
you
no,
know,
that's what it is.
the
Would you,
ones in charge.
Candace, in November, you go ahead and go first
Josh is
with
way more
everything that
emotional than
he
me. I
said.
mean, think about it. Like even my
With
friend Josh.
everything that he said,
Josh is a very emotional
what do
person,
you
as am
feel?
I.
Would
I
you
can
be
be
okay with
emotional,
that?
but you know, like I think
No,
that
because you're not
it's
gonna tell me what to do.
I think that it's just interesting because it's like
You're not about
she's
to tell me what to do. No, I'm just
I
playing.
think it's
I
just
don't
interesting
know.
because
It
I
really
think people
depends.
are
It really
emotional. You
depends
know,
on what it
Nessa?
is because, and it
You ask how
depends
much he
on
would
where you're
compromise in a
coming
relationship.
from.
He
Because
actually elaborated on that
I
earlier.
feel like since he's a little bit older,
Alexander,
his
he did
mindset
say
is
that
about
he
is a
would be
little
willing to
bit
compromise
different.
a
But
lot.
I
He
feel like
actually talked about
9
how he
times out of
thinks
10, when you come
compromise
around
is
dudes
very
that
important in
that
a
operate
relationship,
like
and
that,
he feels like
it's a
he
very
will
dangerous
compromise on a lot.
mindset.
But I'm saying if
And
you
it's
What do you
not.
compromise,
mean by
but he's
dangerous
saying even though
mindset?
he
What
was
does
willing to
that mean?
compromise, at the end of the day,
It's
he
more
still believes he should
misogynistic.
be the one who has
It's
the
more like
ultimate
you're
say,
beneath me, so
even
you're
though there
going
will
to
be
listen to me
compromises and things
rather
that
than
they
it being
discuss
like,
with each other.
I love you, you're my wife, I'm hearing you, but I think this is the most logical thing. It's not like that. So when you're coming at me like that, you think you're about to tell me what to do? But if you come, that's why I was saying earlier, like if you come from a genuine place and it's just like, babe, I really don't think you should go on that trip. I think we need to save. Or even if you told me like I have a bad feeling, like I would listen to that. But it really depends on where you're coming from and why you're saying what you're saying.
Okay,
That's how
Daquan.
I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Daquan,
Yes.
if I may, you
Sure.
said something, and Curtis, hear me out.
Mhm.
So, Daquan earlier, and Daquan, I want for you to elaborate on how you feel like a household should be ran, right?
Okay.
So to me, it sounds like exactly what you guys were saying earlier. Curtis, before you came on the show, uh, November was saying, because Daquan said he can tell November what to do. And she said he could because the way that he comes at her, the way that he talks to her, right? So I think what's happening, Curtis, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, but I feel like if you're like you have to listen to me because I'm the man, because it's just so, it's the natural order. It's coming from a dogmatic and the wrong space and the wrong energy. Unless it's biblical, and I'm gonna ask you about that, Candace. If it's biblical, then a lot of women are fine with that. But if you're telling us it's just what it is because it's its natural order, it's harder for us to take those commands and rules and regulations from you because we almost feel like I gotta buck you. Me and my husband actually went through that. Me and Daquan was talking about that. And because it's like if I feel like you trying to do it just because you're a man and you feel like it's a natural order, that's where you're gonna get my kickback from me. But if you're doing it like from a space where um like Curtis, you're just like, because I'm the man and this is the natural order. I'm going to do right by you, but this is just how it is. I'm going to treat you right. I'm going to be nice to you. But at the end of the day, you're going to listen because I'm a man. But with Daquan, how do you feel a household should be ran, Daquan?
Okay. So, well, I feel similar to how I think, my other co-hosts feel. Um, but I tend to get called feminists or whatever the case, but I believe in women equality, which I think a lot of men do, but don't realize that they do until they have these dialogues and they're like, "Oh yeah, I think women should be able to, say something." Like I think that it's like, I mean, um, I personally I feel like I'll break it down like this, Kurt. I was in a relationship. My ex had me and her had disagreements. We had disagreements because I was not dominant enough over her. Um, I wouldn't tell her what to do. I wouldn't tell her she couldn't go out. I wouldn't tell her what to wear. Um, because I used to tell her, yo, like at the end of the day, if you want to go out with your friends and you feel like you want to, link up and hook up with another dude, you an adult. You gonna do what you want to do. You know what I mean? That's your loss, not mine. I'm not going to control you to be loyal to me. You should want to be loyal to me, which I think coincides with your point earlier. You should want to already give me these things without me needing to request them from you. So loyalty is one of those things, right? Like I shouldn't have to beg you to be loyal to me. So she used to tell me things like, I need you to put me in my place. That didn't resonate with me because as a man, I am not the kind of person who feels like he needs to dominate you. I might need to dominate a situation, but only if I feel like my expertise will allow me to dominate it. So if we're in a situation and we're in a household and my wife is a firefighter and a fire break out, I'm gonna be like, baby! I don't know, you know what I mean? I'm gonna call her and she gonna get her fire equipment and handle business. You know what I mean? So I think that my way is, and this is the thing, right? I wanted to push back on something that you had said earlier, Kurt, and I probably will do that here,
Mhm.
because part of what I feel goes against what you had said earlier, about women being more emotional than men and men being more logical. I think that is a common misconception from my perspective, um,
Mm.
because I think that is
November's like,
I think based off of just at my life experience and what I've seen from societal standards, if you look, and I know I'm going a little away from your question, but my chat is has been bugging me to to actually address this. So I have to at least go to it before I forget. But yeah, so when it comes to the idea of men and women, men being more logical and women being more emotional, I don't think that is true at all. I think that the idea that men are more logical and women are emotional is only perpetuated because of the fact that societally men have not been allowed to show the same amount of emotions, the same variety of emotions that women have been able to, because socially it has been deemed unacceptable. So like with the idea of men being able to show sadness or cry or things like that, that's been kind of a thing to where even now, just now, it's starting to be more socially acceptable, like what you saw at the Bengals game where the guy was crying. Mom,
Yeah.
you were talking about that. He was crying, and it's like, dang, good for the teammate for being there for him. Whereas back in the day, I don't feel like that would have been seen in the same light. So I think
Which I
that,
have
As
to push back on
manly,
that
as
too.
masculine.
yeah. So I
So
figured
I
we
have to
would
push
kind
back
of
on
have a
that
little bit of pushback
too.
on this, but I did
Yes,
want to
once you get
elaborate
on.
on that. Huh?
Okay, so once you get, okay, so I'm sorry for cutting you off,
No, you're
but
fine. You're
once
fine.
you get on this, okay, so what I wanted to say, and this is gonna rub everyone, so this is gonna rub everyone the wrong way,
That's
right?
why I wanted you on here. You were rubber in the
Well,
wrong
you
way.
giving me pushback. I gave you pushback. You giving me some pushback back. I'm gonna give you some more pushback back.
Everyone is gonna rub the wrong way. But why are men these days so emotional?
Because it
The only
is.
emotion, the only
I
emotion that I
I
see men have is anger.
I was I feel no, I feel like I do know where you're coming from, Kurt. I think that men are more emotional these days because
Men
it
are
is
more
it's
emotional,
allowed. We're
and
allowed to express
yes,
a wider
yes,
variety of emotions besides just anger and stoicism. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like,
yes, because
Energy
anybody will tell you
people.
that if you look at the old school men,
mhm.
that I never saw my dad cry, I
Right,
never saw
right,
my dad feel emotion.
right.
He went to work, he came home, he
Mhm.
locked everything up, he bottled everything up, right?
Right.
That's how old school men had led their families.
Mhm.
But in this new day and age, and this is gonna rub a lot of men the wrong way, or a lot of women the wrong way. Is I'm not saying that men need to be these stoic, on unlike these stoic emotionless men,
Mhm.
but a lot of men are raised only by women, and that emotional part of women is rubbing off on these. They're rubbing off on young boys and young men these days, and they're not seeing how their granddads did it. They're not seeing how other men are. And I think that because of the lack of men in some households, boys are overly
Damn it,
emotional.
Kurt.
And I'm not saying
And
that I think it's gonna rub you out the wrong way. But at the end of the day,
My chat is
there's
so
nothing
mad.
wrong. There is nothing wrong with being stoic. Because at the end of the day, you are going to be more logic go if you aren't tapped in so much into your emotions. What happens in a relationship is women always get on men because men are not emotionally available. That's the biggest issue
Sure,
that a lot of women have with men.
sure.
But men aren't designed to be that really emotional. A lot of men aren't going to be that emotionally develop to women the way that they want them to be. That's just my belief.
Okay,
Do
so
you think emotions hurt
And I'm not talking about just anger.
the growth of you as a human being? Do you think showing and displaying your emotions hurts or helps you?
I think it's both. I think it hurts you when it comes down to you being it. That's why a lot of young men are so angry because if you are not allowed to get it out, you're going to get it out in some kind of way.
mhm,
If your dad's not there,
right.
if your mom's on drugs, or if you got something going on and you are unable to get that out, you are going to explode.
Mhm.
So that
Absolutely.
is 100% correct
Mhm.
that you have to be able to get out your emotions. But at the end of the day, our brains are wired differently. So you can sit there and say that it's untrue that there are some women who are more logical than men. I will give you that. But our brains are wired differently. We have different hormones going through our body.
Sure.
So we have to live our
Yeah,
lives in a way based off of the way that we are made up.
But I
That
and
think
you're
that's
so
what I'm
you're
saying.
saying that back to what we were talking about before, like people complementing strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
You're saying one of the strengths of a man is that he's logical, and one of the weaknesses of a woman is that she's emotional or less or so emotional that it blocks her logic.
It can be both ways. It can be to where some women are actually looking for a leader. They are getting into that relationship, just like when you said with the young lady who wanted you to put her
Me
in
and
her
Alex been
place.
together 8 years
I'm not
now.
sure
I can say that Alex is more
why
emotional than
she
me.
wanted that per
But on
se,
another note,
but
we run the house together
obviously
and just try
she
our
was
best
looking
together.
for somebody to
Absolutely.
lead her. She wanted somebody to tell her no
Well, that's one
because she
works,
wasn't
but
able
money
to
goes
do
in
it.
mom's bank account.
And she wanted
Wow.
somebody to
That's
put their
what
foot
that's
down.
And that's
Wow.
because of
say.
So that's
emotion.
normal, huh?
No,
Very
I know it's
interesting,
why it
Jisoo.
was.
I know what he's gonna
But
say.
Well, okay,
There we
okay,
go.
but
It's the
am,
same BS.
are you
Heard it a million
drawing the
times. That narrative is
comparison
not
like
true.
to
I know,
the
Jessica. I know.
emotional
Me and
thinking
Kurt would
okay,
to
probably have
like
to have our
wanting
own
someone
show.
to?
Like me and Kurt would
I was
probably
just saying,
actually
like,
have
as
to have our
far
own back and
as
forth
looking for
because
like a leader, she was
having a
looking for
back and
somebody to
forth
lead her.
with a
But
man
to
who
get
thinks
back
the
on
way
like
that
the
he
emotional
does,
part,
but doesn't seem to have
like with
enough
my sons, I got three boys.
actual factual thing.
I
It's
hug
more
them,
based in
I
just
kiss
his
them, I
belief.
tell them that's gonna
I
be all
think for
right.
me,
I
when I
allow them
base a lot of my
to
things in
show
objective
their
realities, I
emotion,
think that there
and
would be
they're
a lot of
still
times
to
where
this
I
day.
would
My
probably
oldest,
put him in a
he don't
position
talk
where he
about
would
Jack.
have to accept the things that
He
I'm
about
saying
letting
and just be like, well, I don't
all the
agree
time. The
because
only
I don't
people that he
believe that.
talks
And
to
at the
is
end of the
whatever
day,
girl that
if
he's
he just
involved with.
says, I
So when they're
just
having their little
believe
pillow
this,
talk or
that
chat,
is fine.
whatever,
I can
he talks
accept
to
that.
her,
I
and
genuinely can
sometimes he talks
accept
to me
that.
about things. But he is
But
bottling his
my whole thing
emotions
is
his
that we
whole
don't
entire
get to
life,
try to say
no matter how much I try
objectively
to unpack it.
that men are
So
more logical
maybe
than women when we
the
are
fact that
not.
he's allowed to do
Because
that,
people
or
are
he
emotional, and
he was
majority
allowed
of
to
the
do that
things that
growing up, has helped him, and
we
that he's
do
not as
them
bad
based
as
in
he could
feeling.
be.
We have a good feeling
But
about
he was
something. We think
always
this is the
been
best idea. We
taught
don't
and
know,
told
you know.
you could cry,
From a
and if
young
Mm-hmm.
there's
age, just to
something
feel it's the
going
only
on in
thing
your
available as a man,
life, you
which
could
is the
let us
most,
know.
which is
And he
common for a lot
still
of men his age, and even
just
before him.
decided
Like
that
even when he brought up
he
the example of how his
is
dad
just,
and his granddads and stuff
just
like that, you
isn't the
know.
most.
And one thing you'll notice
He's
about certain
emotional,
people
but
is
he
that
hardly
they'll
ever
bounce
really shows
all
his
over from place
strengths.
to place when
And
they
I
don't
agree
You
fully
with
don't
you.
have
have
a problem with you
a
don't have a
solid
problem with
foundation for
young men
their
showing
identity.
emotion.
You know, like
No, I don't, because I
it's
think it's
it's
good.
it's the idea
Okay.
where he's
Okay.
But
bouncing from single women and single
is
moms
he that
Sounds
to
he's
different.
not
granddads
showing
not
his
being there. You
feeling?
know,
Is he not showing his feelings in general, or is he just not showing them to you? Because I
He's
feel
not
like
sure.
men don't show emotion to other men, but when they come to us, they're different. I feel like men are very emotional.
It
most men
should be
don't show
the
the same level of emotionality that they do to their women, to other men,
yes,
because men
yes.
will perceive that emotionality as a weakness. It is part of and ingrained in our social upbringing that you show other men some emotional weakness, then it might not be the best for you.
Yes,
Curtis,
yes,
Curtis, I have
but
a
it also
question for you. I have a
okay.
question for you. So I'm trying to find his name. First, November, I know
Chest.
that you clicked off, but I know you can hear me. Um, Sean Dewberry. You could check out his page. It spells Shaun. He always has a lot of kind of male
Josh just came in. I
dominated
told him
type
what
of
the
ideas
topic
on
was.
his page.
All he said was,
But he
"Oh
came
shoot,
to
are
my
they able to hear
page
you?"
and spoke on this. He said,
Yeah,
the real problem is
you and
men
my
aren't
mom would
really
have a ball
wanting
with this. Like, hell no,
submission,
I'm not taking
they're
that.
really wanting cooperation. But women
Mm.
are even finding it hard to be cooperative. So I think that goes back into that whole women want to be led, but don't
Don't
want to
want to
be
be told
told
what to
what to
do.
do. So I didn't think that comment was too off. But
That's
then
not
there
the
was
same thing. Telling somebody what to do is not the same thing as
That's
leading them.
true. That's true. That's very true because we also we elaborated on that. We contextualize what it might mean to tell somebody what to do because it may not be that the woman dislikes being told what to do. She might dislike being told what to do in the way you're telling her, you know,
That,
that to do it. You know,
Yeah.
so like we elaborated earlier, if I say,
Well,
"Hey, go
why?
do this," you know, but I'm not like, "Hey, you better go do that right now." Like that's totally different contextualizations of how you're telling somebody to do something and how somebody is going to respond. So I think that that's a very good point, but I'm glad we elaborated on that earlier, you know, to discuss that. So that comment does
Mm-hmm.
fit exactly what we're talking about.
okay. So let me read this comment, and then Curtis, I'm gonna ask you this because I had Jean Limbrick. I wanted him on here with you too, Curtis, because
Yeah,
I
as
think
best I
you
can.
two were the most
I'm like, let me in, coach.
boisterous on my page.
No,
Gene
just
was
not a good
going
idea.
hard.
Reference
I
earlier
wanted to
mention of
come and
anger
kick
issues.
him
Yeah,
and then
Nessa. I mean,
side
like
sweep
my
you
mom, like
in
when
the
my mom is
forehead.
telling you, like y'all know
No,
how
I
my
hear
mom
you.
is. My mom will
So
go
Gene
off.
said,
My mom will
sounds like you're
snap.
saying that being submissive should be interchangeable when it shouldn't. Not allowing a man to lead is challenging to his masculinity and it's emasculating. An alpha male,
Ugh.
hear me out. Hear me out. Did everybody just fall out?
Alpha male. So alpha male does to me what submissive does to my mom. It is so annoying. People are
Okay,
so
so I'm
red
gonna finish
pilled.
his comment. He said an
Oh,
alpha male is masculine at all times. He says, an alpha
Let me
male
stop.
is
I
masculine
should
at
be.
all
I
times,
should
not allowing
be
him to be
focused.
who he naturally is, goes against nature since the beginning of time. Man that gives it up to his lady is a beta male, which isn't natural. There's nothing wrong with it, but you can't have an alpha change. That doesn't mean that the alpha doesn't listen to his lady, but he gives the final decision. He always leads. Term is only outdated to modern women. Women who want to convince themselves and each other that times are different when it really truly isn't. The only thing different is women's thinking today, which is hurting the true structure of family.
Look at my face.
Now, submission means just cooperation and femininity.
Look at my face.
That's what I meant when I
My lip
said
hurt.
that mindset's dangerous. Because exactly what he said. He said it's emasculating.
So
And a man feels threatened. And they act according.
I want to do that whenever we have that conversation. I'll be like, ah!
Curtis, what are your thoughts?
I
Do you
get so
believe that
frustrated.
it is a male, it is a man's nature? It's this is biblical. This is Candace. You too. You're religious. So do you believe that it is a man's place to be the alpha, to be in charge?
Yeah,
Like,
I
and
got a lot to say,
if
so I
we
just want y'all
challenge
to go.
that, are we
okay.
emasculating him? Or women
So
are
I will give,
emasculating men by not allowing them to be alpha in charge at all times.
so I will give my quick response because I got to go in about 10 minutes.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
yeah, but it's this whole big red pill movement that a
Yes.
lot of men are really involved with.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the red pill stuff I do agree with as far as the men being ahead,
Sure.
but the whole alpha energy and beta energy and all this other stuff, that one is goes over my head because they can't decide on what an alpha is and what a beta is. Like if
Right.
you're nice to your woman, then you are a beta. Being a beta does not mean that you're nice to being nice or like you like telling your woman you love her or you doing something really nice for her does not mean that you're beta. So a lot of these guys, they have went to left field with that. But I do believe that for most men, especially if you are raised a certain way, you are going to want to be the leader. You are going to want to be in charge. You are going to want to be the head. So from that standpoint, if a woman keeps going back and forth with you, it's not allowing you. It can be emasculating if you tell your wife or you tell your woman, to do something. Well, I would say to do something, but y'all making a decision, and she continues to give you pushback, even if what she says doesn't make any sense, even if she knows that she's wrong. She just doesn't want to do it because you told him no, because she's not going to say, because you're not going to tell me what to do. So in that instance, there are situations to where some women are so uncooperative that everything you say, it it's gonna be a problem, even if everything you saying makes complete sense
Mm.
and it's gonna be the best thing for both of y'all.
Okay.
So from that instance, I do agree with it can be demasculating, but I've also been told by certain women that I didn't make them feel like a woman because I wasn't romantic or I didn't put flowers. I didn't tell them that they were beautiful. They didn't feel as feminine as they should be, because I was not giving them that. So from what I heard from what he was saying, well, sometimes the man do want to feel like we are in charge. We do want to feel that we are the leader. And if we don't have that, for some men, it can be emasculating. But I'm not going to take it as far as he went. I think he's taking it too far.
Okay.
Okay.
I respect that.
We
I really
appreciate you
really
being on
respect
here.
that. That was
We
good. Yeah.
do. And I don't think that you are honestly too far off from what I'm
He's really
saying.
not. That's what I'm glad we said that earlier, because I'm like, yo, he's really like not. If we're like left wing, he's like a moderate. Like he's like a centrist. Like he right there. Like he on the he kind of leaning. Like he left leaning. You know what I mean? Like he's not as much of, over here, especially when he knows like the red pill, like a lot of that stuff. If he can agree that a lot of that stuff is just kind of like based in like toxic masculinity and just like, yo, y'all doing a little much, then I feel like
that's a code word that I hate.
Okay, look, I'm glad I said it too, because we done said some trigger words all over the place. I like that we said that.
That's mine.
Oh, that's yours. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got submissive and we got that one. Yep.
Thank you, Curtis, so much for joining us. Because we had this horrible back and forth, because Daquan, all of you guys know that if you get to me, like I'm so passionate that I'll just start being like, "Grr!"
Yeah.
So I applaud you for actually coming over here, even after I let you have it on my page.
Oh, no.
I appreciate it, all in love, and I appreciate your comment and coming to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I wanted to make sure, because at the end of the day, even though, I didn't want to come off as some like this male chauvinistic, misogynistic person.
Right.
I'm not. But at the end of the day, do I believe that the man should be the head of the household? Absolutely. And, and that's just how I believe. But I also believe that it should be done in a way that's going to work for both people. But at the end of the day, thank you for inviting me, and y'all have a good one.
Hey, thanks for being on, Kurt. Really appreciate it, man. Loved having you.
Thank you. Bye.
So, Candace, in November, do you guys feel like someone like Kurt, who still believes that a man should have the final say because he is the man of the household?
Came in
you
handy
could see
the other
that
night.
he kind of really wasn't dogmatic. He was.
It's interesting because I feel like maybe he does, but at the same time, he might not see himself as much of an alpha as, he definitely does, but maybe not in the same degree as some of these guys. Because if he gets triggered by the word toxic masculinity, it's because he's only heard it in a negative context, to where some people are like, oh, this guy flexed his muscles, he's a toxic male, So he might have a negative impact when that coming from that word. His face had a different story when it was brought up. He's an undercover alpha.
Can you hear me?
I can now, yeah.
Our country and community would be better off than it is now. I mean, listen, like 99% of all wars have been started by women.
To me, it's just like so many things that he said was like triggering that I would have to see more.
Yes, I think
being an alpha was being the head of the house, and being the beta was being submissive to the alpha.
When you say that,
what were his ideas on that? Because honestly, some of the points contradict each other. Well, that's why the red pill community is full of dumb. It's like it's really it's a negative community to be a part of, because a lot of that stuff is not based in just like straight up logic. It's based in talking points, like many ideologies. But you'll contradict a lot of stuff. So what it says is like a beta male is like, some dudes will say, oh, you're a beta because
I absolutely
they'll be like, you're a beta because you
totally against
take your ideas and you bring your wife into the conversation and you ask her opinion. Now that's beta male energy.
I don't think,
and it's like, I've been called a beta male because I think that women are equal to me. Like I was called a beta male for that, for saying this woman is my equal. I get called a beta male. So different dudes will define what
He never had the final say.
Jessica, elaborate on what? Like, as far as like 99% of all wars were started by men?
About what he
Did I say women by accident? Because I meant to say men.
What triggered you And what kind of
I
man
feel like since I
would
was
you
thinking women, I might
follow?
have
And
actually
then
said
would you follow
99% of wars were
everything
started
that
by
he
women,
says?
but I was meaning to say
Or do you
99% of
feel
wars
like
were
a
started by men,
relationship should be
except for
50-50?
I did say women. My bad. Context: 99% of wars were started by
I don't feel like
men,
it should be 50
and
50, nor would I
like
even want it to be
1% were started by
50-50,
some women. So
honestly.
I flip flopped it in my
Um,
brain. My bad about that.
but
Yeah,
I
I
guess it
figured that
was
might have been
just,
where you were confused about, because I'm like
I
I
guess
probably
it,
got
I
confused in
don't
my brain.
know. It was just everything he said was triggering. And I guess because I've experienced the bad part of it, I've experienced the part where it's not, it's not a gentle, I'm telling you so.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just kind of like, I would just have to see more before I could trust that.
Hmm.
Because I
Mm.
would need you to be all the way completely 100% gentle with me. I'm talking like, I don't know, hands cuffed to the face. Like
Yeah.
but like that's just me though. Like and even with him, like he wasn't aggressive, but I didn't feel gentle. It didn't
Wow, that's deep.
like
That's very
it felt
deep.
like if I were to say no, that it would eventually turn into a debate.
Yeah.
Wow. Because because of the fact that he feels like you should do it because I'm the man. It goes right back into why
Mm-hmm.
should I let you lead? Should I let you lead like Candace
Mm-hmm.
was saying earlier? Should I let you lead because you're good at it, because you've proven that you can? Or should I let you lead because
Mm-hmm.
you're a man? And I think when you have
And
that dog,
I'm gonna ask you why. And if your answer is because I'm a man, that's not good enough for me.
Yeah. I think
Or if
there.
you I'm asking why, you're like, because I said so, that's a
Yeah.
problem for me.
And I think that that's another thing that goes along with it is like I'm curious with a lot of men who think like that, because this just occurred to me, like, when you were saying like if you were to say no, like are women not allowed to say no? Like if they genuinely with everything in their fiber being like I don't like this, I don't think this is a good idea, I don't want to do this, I don't want to go along with this, and the man's like, well, we're doing it anyway because I said so, is the woman not allowed to just be like, no, I'm not doing it because this goes against everything that I feel in my heart and my soul I should do? So it's like, is she not allowed to say no? Like, and I wonder if that's like a thing where it's like the woman has to compromise her ability to say no to a man in order to be with him. Like, is that
mm,
is that what that is? So
Side.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like with me and him, I would love to have him, like I would love to just do a one-on-one, me and him, straight back and forth, because I think that when talking to men, and trying to delve into that topic, of masculinity and what all that stuff means, you can probably learn a lot, but I think that you'll also learn that that person might learn, oh, that's what y'all mean when y'all say that? Because how many of these men really do sit down and talk to women about these things and actually get their ideas
right,
and their opinions on these things and
right,
learn, like, oh, so when y'all are, pushing back on us, y'all aren't just being argumentative, y'all genuinely feel like this is something wrong. So I think there's a
right,
lot to that, and when you're
right,
saying that.
Or even
right.
trying to understand. Because when
Yes.
I ask why, it's not even I'm pushing back. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
genuinely trying to
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
And if you're like, no, you're fighting me, well, now I'm about to, because who are you talking to?
Oh my
Yes.
God,
That's it.
I've
That
had that.
oh, that
I've
makes me so
had that.
mad. So I get so mad because listen, when the dude was talking about that, where the pushback, it's like, how insecure are you to where a woman, even voicing her opinion or voicing her concern is a challenge? Why is that a challenge? Why is it a challenge when a woman is like, hey, can I get some input on this? No. Ah, my
Yeah.
balls. Like, this is my manhood. You've emasculated me by questioning me. I it makes me so frustrated because so many dudes are like, I'm an alpha.
Go ahead,
I
Candace.
say, I'm sorry. I'll shut up now.
No, you're fine.
Because on one hand, he was saying stuff where I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
But then on the other
Mhm.
hand, it was like November said, like, okay, that sounds good, but what happens when
Mm.
there's opposition or I have a question, like what does that look like or feel
I get
as
so
considered?
irritated.
But I
Like
think like
alpha,
the
the
bad
word
side
alpha
is
triggers me so much because so many people just
because
throw it around
for
and they're just like, I'm
some,
alpha,
back
me
to like
big
what we
man,
talked about
ha,
before,
big
like the
boy
whole
man, big
parent,
strong
and
man.
he did
I
make
say word and
reference
you
to like
do
the
because you're a woman.
relationship
I have big
in like a
pee-pee
parent-child way,
and you do
which
what
I
I
think
say. It's so,
there
it
are
hurts my brain. It
similarities
hurts
when
my
you're in a
head.
relationship with
It
somebody
just frustrates me
that
so
there's
much that
a parent and there's
I
a
almost
child, there's a
lose
decision maker,
my ability to be
there's the
logical
person who
because I
follows. You
get
know what I'm
so
saying? There's the leader,
irritated
there's the
because it's
follower. And
so
that is just a
played
natural
out.
dynamic. And I
It's
think when you
so
put like
just
men and women in that, and then you add in like all the other stuff like emotions and upbringing and trauma, it's like the process makes sense. Like
all the
it
men are
makes
being
sense to have a
served.
leader. It makes sense to have a decision maker.
Okay,
It
that's
makes
interesting,
sense.
Jisoo.
But when
The
you
type
don't
of man
use the
Kurt is. He
process
courted her, brought her into
right,
the church,
that's
groomed her,
when
and
it
she
breaks
submitted, and she
down.
had
And
to
then
pay for
that's when you
everything. She made more
have
money than him. She was
to
more
to use his
educated than him. She
example,
took care
it's
of the
like
household, and
the
because by
people
the
who are
teachings of the
supposed
Bible,
to
he
be the
was the
leaders
head.
and
She
people
was
who
miserable for
are
10 years.
maybe like
But you know what, Jessica?
take a
Some
back seat
women
to
love it.
leading, then
Some
they
women
start
love it.
having
They
questions because you're
absolutely
not
like,
dumb. You're
they
not
like, I
connected to a
want
dumb
that, you
person
know.
most of the time. You know what
Saying
I'm saying?
something with
Like
triggering feels more
you're
opinionated than
back to
factual,
it
but his
being a
points did feel
partnership,
more
right? Like
confusing and
you're with
misinformed in a sense.
someone
Well, I
with
do
the
feel like
expectation
that
that they're getting
I do
something
feel
from
like it
you're getting
is
something
part of
from them.
misinformation,
And so
right? Because
hopefully
it's
that
based a lot
contribution
in
is
patriarchy, which is
how are
just,
we going to
it
plan
is
our life
natural for
together?
men to
And so
dominate.
like
Well, according
when
to
that
who?
happens, that person is going
According
to
to
have
who?
input
It's
into their
natural
life
because if
too.
you look in
So I
nature,
think
go
like
to the
there's a
lions.
whole
The
bunch
lions, the
inside
women do the
of
hunting. You know what I mean?
yes, do
The
this
men
because I'm the man. I
procreate,
think
but the
within that
women
it
do the
is
hunting.
there is an
So
expectation for
there's a
me to be the man
distribution
because that's how I was
distribution
raised, that's
of
whatever,
big
that's what the
responsibilities
Bible
in the
says, whatever
animal
the case,
kingdom
there's an
from male
expectation
and
here.
female
I
species.
want
There
to
isn't
meet this
just, oh, the male
expectation.
leads,
I'm coming
like,
to you with this
you know.
expectation, and secretly you probably want this expectation too,
Both.
but we're trying to both get to it,
Alpha
but
is
I
such a
want to
turn
do it
off
this
word. It
way
drives
and
me
you
so
want to
silly.
do it this
Yeah,
way, and we
like
keep bumping heads, and
I
now
think
we both don't
it's so
think that we're
frustrating
trying
because like when
to
you deal with
fulfill
somebody
the
who's
same
like,
goal, which we
I'm an
are, which is
alpha,
to
you
work
it
together
almost for
and
me
live a
feels
good
like, okay,
life.
now I'm dealing with an illogical
But it
person.
comes down
Now I'm
to
dealing with somebody
who is making
who
the
is
decision. You
just
know what I'm saying? Which
like,
in the
no
long
matter
term
what
could
I
just
say,
be like a
you're just
moot
gonna call
point.
me a
Like,
beta male and
you know
move
what I'm
on. Like
saying?
no matter
But I
what
know
I
there are
say,
big
you're gonna be like,
decisions
I'm
like
an
where to
alpha,
move
therefore
and where to live and
like
if to
you
have
already
whether
have
you want
kind
to
of
have kids and
established to
things
me
like
that
that.
you're a misogynist,
So
that you're a
that's what it
chauvinist,
comes
that you
back to
feel like
being like
men
contextual. I
are
know I probably
superior to
just
women
rambled like in a
because we
full
have
circle, but I
dicks
feel like
and we
there's
have
so
genetics that make us
much
physically
within just
stronger.
saying like
But
should a
that's
man be a
it.
leader
You know what
because
I
of
mean?
man?
Like
Like,
we have genetics that will
well, what
tend
type
to
of
make
man
us
is he? You
physically
know what I'm
stronger
saying?
more
Like,
often
because
than women.
being a
That does
leader,
not
like,
mean
yes,
that
there should
women
be a
cannot
leader
be
in a
stronger than men,
relationship. There's
especially
nothing wrong with
proportional to
that.
their body
The
size and
problem
body weight.
comes when you
But
talk to
you
November
know,
is who is that
genetically,
leader
if a
and where
man
are you
doesn't work out
leading
and a woman
me?
doesn't work
Because if
out, the
I don't
man
like
will
where you're
most
leading
likely
me
be at
and
least
I'm
a
not
little
allowed
bit
to
stronger
say
or
that,
tend to be a little
that's a
bit
problem.
stronger according to
And
how
if
our
I don't feel
genetics
like
build
you're
our
leading
muscles.
me and I
So
can say
sure,
that
you
and
can
we
say
go our
natural
separate
we are going
ways,
to be stronger,
fine.
sure. But
That
at the end of
doesn't
the day,
mean
that
you're not
doesn't
a
make us
leader. I just don't
superior.
like where
That
you're
doesn't make
leading
us more
me.
logical. Our brains
Okay,
are not
question,
wired to
right?
make us more
That's the
logical. That is not how our brains are wired. Our
Yeah.
What'd you
brains
say,
are
November?
not wired to
I
be
said,
more
or there could
logical.
be a
They are
compromise. Like if you're
wired
saying
according
this is what we're
to
going to do,
how
and I
they
say,
are
well,
when
I'm
we
not
are born,
comfortable with
but
that,
they
then
are
what happens
programmed
next? Do we meet in
socially.
the
So
middle?
when
Are
dudes say
you
like our
willing to
brains
be
are
like, are
wired
you
like
willing to
That's
put
the
this,
your
whole
pride to the
it's
side?
very interesting because it's like, yo, like
right, but
our
that's
brains
the
are not wired like this.
whole
We're not born with this kind
conversation,
of line of
right? The
thinking. We
whole
are
conversation
socialized into this
to
line of
me,
thinking to
that's why I
where
feel
men
like
are superior to women. That is not
there
how we are
is
wired. That
no
is not how we
one
are
specific
innately
leader.
born.
We're
We
both
are
leaders
socialized into that way of thinking.
because I feel like when they use the word submission,
Try than
I'm
Sahara.
not going to submit to you. I will
Now to give Kurt some slack, he
compromise
was
with
probably
you.
talking
You know what I mean? I will
told
compromise. We will
talking
talk
female
about it. We will
opinions was a
have
bad thing,
discussions.
and when being taught how to be a
there's
man
been
from
things.
another so-called alpha male,
So
those ideas will most likely beat into.
I feel like
Absolutely, Alexander. Most of
when
these
some
alpha male
people,
ideas will most
Sorry,
likely
I
come
want
from
you to finish your
another
thought, but I have a
toxic
question
male
to
or
ask you. Go
a
ahead.
damaged or broken
so I feel
male
like
who
when
might have
when
attention from
when a
women. You
person
know,
feels like
um,
this is the leader,
and I
I'm
try
gonna
not to push
follow.
back too
Like,
much
and a lot of
on
times
men
I
because at the end
follow
of the day, I am a
Tyrone
man and I do want
and
my woman
most
to respect
everything that
me,
he
but I want her to
says
respect me
because
not
I
because I'm
don't
a
know
man,
what he knows. You know what I
because
mean?
I
There's
am
things
me.
where
You
it's
know,
just like,
like there are
and
things
I
that
know
I
he will
do
protect me.
recognize that
You know what I
she
mean?
will look at
I
me
know he
as her
spoils me.
man. I am her man to
but
do certain things,
also
but
I
that
feel
is
like if I know
contextual.
something,
Every woman wants
you know
her
what I
man to
mean,
do certain
he'll
things.
come to
So
me because he
if this is
doesn't
my
know
woman and
that.
she
So I
wants me
feel
to
like
be able to
we
cook,
both lead in
because
whatever it is
I can
that we're
cook for you,
proficient
and she's
in.
like, I
You
want a
need
man
to
who can
listen
cook.
to me and let me
Socially, that
lead
is
in
not
this.
normal. You know what I mean?
So
So
you submit.
Huh?
it's the idea where
So you
it's
do
like,
submit.
we're not
I don't.
abiding
I
by
won't
gender
do.
roles.
No, I
We're abiding
compromise.
by
I won't
partnership
submit because
roles.
no
We're
one is
abiding by
superior
roles
to
that we
me, right?
assign each other that
So
work best for
the
each
word
other,
submit
not
means
based
that
off whether
I'm
we got a
letting you
dick or a
do this
vagina.
because you're superior to me, and that's not what I do. Now,
I hate when men use
sometimes I
lions
do
as an
pick and
example. A
choose
man's
my
position in society,
arguments,
especially
right?
marriage one, male
There is
lion's
some
only job is
times
to
where I
protect and
will
procreate. There's
concede.
actually a head
I
lion
won't
that's to delegate
submit.
and
I will
teach. I mean,
concede,
that's what I'm
meaning,
saying,
okay,
Jessica.
I'm gonna
Like
exit
the lions,
this
like if you want to
argument,
look at it, so
whatever.
it's the funny thing is
Okay,
because like
we ain't
a lot of
having rice
males, like alpha
tonight.
males, will be like,
Okay,
well, look
you
at
know
the
what I
lions.
mean?
The
Like,
lion,
so
the
I will
male
concede,
lion
but
is
I'll
the
never
leader.
submit. I will never.
Kinda.
I
He's
will
more of a
never.
symbolic leader. Like at the
I'm
end of the
never
day,
going
if
to bow
another male
down and
tries to
just
take over
let
the
it be
pride and kill the
because you're the
babies,
man.
the male
You know
lion
what I
will be
mean?
in
Like
charge
But
of
I
protecting the pride
I
from that
can't
male
do
you're
lion.
that.
But at the end of the
submitting
day, the ones who do the hunting
doesn't
and prevent
require
starvation
a
from the
man.
entire pride are
Submitting
the
is
females.
just
You know, and
you. What'd you
the
say the
male's
definition
required to,
was?
procreate with the
Submitting,
women.
submitting.
You know,
The definition
so
of the word
and then
submit
the
means that there's
women,
a superior. There's
the
superior
lionesses
order,
will look after the
like
cubs.
you're
The
superior to
So
male
that
if they're
woman.
an
lion
expert and they
breeds them
know
and that's
more
it. He
than you,
gone. Like, so it's just so
technically,
interesting that like
Yes, then
men
I'll
will say
concede
that
to
and be
what they
like,
say.
"Oh, he the
Yes, I will
leader. He the."
resolve to what it is that they say. I
At
won't submit.
most, it's a
But yes, I
symbolic
will
thing,
concede because he's the
But
expert at
practically
that. You know
wise,
what I
like
mean? Like,
their whole pride doesn't function without the
what
females.
should we do? Should we build this
So
wall
I think
out?
it's
Should
just
we
a
rip
weird
this
thing to
door
where
out?
men
I
kind
don't
of
know.
cherry
You're the
pick the
expert
kind
in that.
of
You tell me what to do.
symbolism that
Now,
male
there's been
lions
times where
are
Tyrone has
supposed to
been
mean
like,
to us. But I
babe,
also hate when
we
men go to
shouldn't tear this
nature and
wall out.
animals,
And
because
I'll
to
be
me
like,
it's
but I
like,
want
okay,
to,
if you
but
want
we
to
shouldn't.
live like
Okay,
that, go live in a
that's
goddamn
it. I'm
cave,
not
you
gonna sit there and have
caveman,
no
you
argument with
goddamn
him because
troglodyte.
he know
Go
what he
live
talking
on the
about.
bottom of the
And
ocean
so
he tell
floor,
me
or go
submission
live in the Sahara
comes into
Desert and
play
bury you a
when
goddamn
you feel like
sand hole to
you
pee
should
in,
own the
and
decisions, or
dig a
not maybe
mold,
you
just
personally,
dig a
but
hole
when
and
you
live in
feel
it.
like maybe
Go
someone
live in
should own the
nature. If you want
decision
to
on
act like, if you
something,
want to
but
live like
they
an animal, live like an
aren't
animal.
able
We are
to,
not animals.
that is the
We are
negative
animals,
side
but
of
we're not. We
submitting or
have
conceding,
evolved.
because otherwise if
We've
you're
gone beyond
conceding and
the
you're leveraging your expert,
simplicity
then that's a good thing.
of just living as
But
mammals
if
on this
they're not
planet.
the
So
expert
when
but
you
they
say
are
a
making the
lion does
decision
this,
and
then
you are
go
the
live in
expert
a
and you're not
goddamn
and you
jungle.
can't
Go be Tarzan and beat on your big
match,
monkey
That's where
chest.
the
We are
problem
not
comes in
lions.
at.
We are not
And that's
primates.
where this
We
whole
we are
thing
we
where
are
the man is the
evolved
household
animals.
and he
We
says
have
what he
language and
says.
communication and
You know
technology,
what I
and we
mean?
can
Like,
drive
but
cars.
I kind
We
of know
can
what
talk
I'm
about
talking
things
about.
that animals
Why
cannot
aren't
even
you
fathom
listening
the
to me? Because
concept
you're a
of.
dude?
They don't
Because you're the man
understand.
in
They
the
don't know
household?
what the
And then
sun
that comes
is.
across
We
as
can talk about it and say the
emasculating.
sun is this,
You
is a
know what I
big ball
mean?
of
Like,
hydrogen
it's
in the sky that will
it's
explode
like,
one day. An
no, but
animal
I
won't
just
even
feel
know
like this
what
is
the
what we
sounds
should
that you're
do.
making
I think
mean.
you have a lot of
We
that
are
in
beyond
raising
that.
kids too. You
It
know
was
what I
so
mean? Like,
annoying.
oh, he needs to just go shut up and suck it up somewhere. Take your titty out of his mouth. Like,
he made
well,
The other lioness is how to hunt for the pride. Yeah.
the dads. I was just like, let me
I
just
just
not
realized she has
even.
some Jujutsu Kaisen shirt as me and my
But
mom.
we will go
Yeah,
somewhere
I love her
else.
Jujutsu Kaisen shirt.
okay,
Male
we'll
lion is
do
not
that
the
as
king.
another
He is a
topic, but
protector.
that is
Male
a part
lion will
of
get
letting a
ran out
man
by
be the man of the
lionesses.
household.
Yeah,
Is,
if a
well, he
male
needs to go
lion
get his ass in
defeats
the corner.
another
You know
male
what I
lion
mean?
and takes
Like,
over the pride and the females reject him,
no.
they will
Well,
not
I'm the
procreate with
man.
him.
You know
They
what I
can
mean?
even
I'm
kill
the
him.
father. Take your titty out of his mouth. You know what I mean? Like, and the woman is supposed to submit to that. Okay, well,
Yeah, we heard
your
that a lot.
dad said to go. You know what I mean? But we'll do parenting on another time.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's a
another one.
part of being a submissive woman. But I just believe that a person should concede to the other person when that person has more knowledge or more expertise in what it is, and that's what helps build a bigger and stronger couple. You know what I mean? It's in spirit November, I'm glad to hear what you were saying because that's powerful. If you go through something Because if someone knows how to be a man, they know how to build, they know how to they've got the money, they you know what I mean? You're giving me things, you know how to be masculine, but then you don't know how to communicate effectively. It comes out almost abusively in your
So
communication style, then you can't let that person lead you.
that's why it's
So
like
you will let someone lead you, but it depends on their leadership style. So I want to go back to Daquan in November. Daquan, you don't feel like the man has to be the leader of the house, correct?
I don't I don't believe in a leader of the house. I don't. I really don't. I feel like, I feel like life requires fluidity and flexibility. The most efficient people in life are the ones who are able to adapt. And if you have established that this stagnant object is the know all end all be all, then you are not going to be as adaptable as, say, me and my woman, who will put two heads together and collaborate and say, you know what, she got it, and I can elaborate on this further. I got a crush on AOC. Love me some AOC. I know that I have a passion for that, but if it came to something where we was involved in something politics wise, I might, if she got something like this, the policy write up, I'm gonna be like, babe, you got that. Like, I'm gonna let her lead on that because you got more experience, you got more expertise, you know what it is. I trust you to do what is right for us, to go make the right decision, and we will both deal with the consequences of said decision together as a team. So I don't believe in a head of household at all. Like, I genuinely don't. And I feel like the idea of a head of household is rooted in patriarchy because it is meant to establish hierarchy. It's meant to establish this person is here, you are here. You cannot be equal in a patriarchal relationship. You, at the end of the day, you are just an advisor to the king. You are a secretary to the boss, to the CEO. You are not the co-owner. You can't be. So that's why I feel like that stuff just doesn't necessarily make all the sense to me, because it can't. It can't. They collide. They clash. So I don't believe in heads of household.
So November and Candace, do you guys want a head of household? Do you want to be vice president to your president? Do you desire that as a woman?
No,
I
no,
don't
you
care.
put it like that.
Got
No.
that smirk.
You do, don't
I'm
you,
so,
November?
I don't think
oh
so.
yeah,
Do
I
you?
Huh?
do.
Do you?
You do?
Yes, yes,
Look at her
yeah.
So
face.
you want someone to be the leader of the house. You want someone to submit to.
Yeah.
That's what
Oh,
I'm
that's
saying.
oh, that's. I thought that's
I
okay.
think
That's what I was saying. That's what I thought you were
we
saying. Yeah.
want that. Like, ultimately, that's why I was saying earlier, like, there is rest in having a leader. Like,
Hmm.
seriously, if somebody was like, "Look, I got you. I'm gonna make your decisions. I got you. You know, I got your best." Like, doesn't that sound great? Hey,
Sure.
you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, like,
Yeah.
it's not that you don't
Happy
want
Joe.
that. It's just, making sure that person can do it for you
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
in
I
the way
think
you
that
want
that makes
to.
all of the sense in the world. And I can see why that is desirable by women, but with that it comes a cost, doesn't it?
Yes, your freedom, like we was talking about before.
But
Like,
I do think
whenever
that there
you're
is.
What if
go
the
ahead.
I
woman
do,
is the head of the household? What would the man role be? I mean, I guess at the
and
end of the
that's Mommy
day,
talking, obviously.
in our society, that we don't know
But I
because
do,
we live in a
especially
patriarchal
if
society where the
like
man is in charge. So if the
you
woman is
like
the
the
head of
kind
the
of man that I
household,
like.
that man's
I
role
think it
would most likely
depends
be
on the kind of
determined
man that you're
based on the
with,
context of that couple.
obviously.
We don't know
But
what the
I do
man's
think
role
that
would be.
there's
Maybe the
power in
man would
submission.
also
I
be,
feel like you
working,
submit to
but
a
maybe he
man
would be at
depending on the
home
kind of man.
taking care of the kids and
But if
handling
you
the house
submit to
stuff
a
and
man, I
fixing
feel
the
like
cars and fixing
you
the
won't hear
house,
no
cooking
too
dinner.
often
You know what I mean?
as you
Like, we
think you
do have
will.
house husbands in America. So that happens.
I
Hmm,
just, yeah,
Y'all
that
supposed to
was
be
an
in that together.
excellent point.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I
yeah.
disagree
Good
with
point.
November
I like
and
that, November. I
Candace,
like that. If
because
you submit
they
to the
want
right man,
they want to
you're
submit to
not going to
somebody.
hear
I
no.
don't want a woman to submit to me.
Never thought about that. I never thought about
Yeah,
that.
because they have your best interest in
Yeah,
mind.
I think that's so
That's what the good
interesting.
Lord said.
That's so interesting. So
Oh, they want to for you.
do you guys feel like your belief in religion, your religious upbringing or religious background motivates some of your desires to be led by a trustworthy man? Do you feel like that religion or upbringing like that, or is that something that you just feel like that is what you're attracted to? That's just what you like.
I think I've learned the ease of help.
Mm.
It's like it just made more sense to me now. Like, and more recently, learning the benefits of like following someone else's direction.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's why I keep saying, like, it's not a bad thing. Like, don't we learn all the time? Like, we're going to learn from somebody else's direction. So
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
not get that from your partner? So,
Yeah.
and if they happen to do that for you, then great, awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
More power to you.
Yes.
So November. No.
But I think the all or nothing is where it gets, because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you know, that means I have a blank slate. I can, you know, well, carte blanche. I can do whatever I want. No, it's
Right.
not the case.
So November, you said no. That you think it's more of what you like or what you're attracted to. It had nothing like religion doesn't have much of anything to do with it.
Not at all.
Okay.
That's just definitely what I'm attracted to.
Yeah, I can tell. I've watched enough Forged in Fire with you to know. You been watching the Jews.
But what attracts you to it?
They be
What attracts you to it?
I don't know. Have y'all ever like seen a movie where like you'll see like a couple at an amusement park and they're like holding hands and running and the guy's in the front? That's how I feel. That's how I'm like, this is fun. Like, I don't know. It's just, and then I don't like being the one making decisions. I've just always been like that. And I think that partially has to do with me growing up around so many boys too. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just like it.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you said that. Okay, because you said you grew up around a lot of boys. So, and I grew up around nothing but boys, right? And that may be why I am so.
Yeah.
Not everybody meant to be a leader. That don't sound great to everyone. I mean, for sure. Like, and it doesn't even sound great to me. Like, I recognize that I can lead when necessary.
Okay, so
and when I feel like it's right,
and
but
I'm going to say this for the guys.
I
who
also
watch
feel like I'm not
part of me.
You know, all-time designated leader. I don't feel like I should be. I don't feel like I have to be. I don't feel like I want to be. I feel like I want sometimes where my woman knows more. Like I said, my example for earlier, like when November knows about hair, it's all you. I'm following you. You got it. You the boss.
He couldn't have done it
handle
without
that.
me, and I couldn't have done it without him. We did it together.
Completely.
So
to handle this and get my hair together, because I don't know what I'm doing. If it wasn't for you, my hair probably be short again. I cut it off because I wouldn't know what I'm doing.
Came from trauma.
You know, and I still don't really know what I'm doing. I just take it. I literally take what she says at face value when she says it. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do it. You know, so I know that like when it comes to my woman, if my woman can't handle the fact that I want a kind of relationship where it's like, yo, babe, I want you to lead on this. I don't know, but I trust you, and I know you know what you're doing here, and I want to ride in your car. You drive the boat, and I'm gonna ride in the back. But I'm here for you. And I'm gonna support you, and I got you. You know, so you know, you go ahead and take charge on this, and I'm right here next to you. So it's like I want that in my relationship. I don't want to be leader 100% of the time, because at the end of the day, it's going to feel like I am raising a child. It is going to feel like I am babysitting you. It is going to feel like I am a parent to my partner. Like I don't want to feel like that no more.
Have the last say.
You know, you don't.
I want to feel like my partner is my partner. She is my equal, and we better each other, and we look at each other and we say we challenge each other, and we respectfully debate one another and have differences of opinions and be like, interesting, and we learn. You know, like I want that is what I crave in a relationship. I don't, and that's part of the reason why I don't really involve in a relationships, because it's not something that I get often. I don't really get that kind of stimulation that I really get. You know,
he should have the last word because he's a guy. You know what I mean? He was very dogmatic. He
the man takes care of the house, and people would make fun of him. I mean,
didn't know how to communicate.
They made a whole movie about it, making fun of the house.
And
they did. They absolutely did. They absolutely did. And it's so funny because, like, at the end of the day, if my wife was making $1 million, making $1 million a year, if my wife was Beyonce and she was out going on tour, I guarantee you, every time she come home, that house is gonna be spotless. The kids is gonna be fat and fed,
Why?
and she gonna have
Just 'cause I
dinner
don't
on the
want to.
table.
Well,
Her
that's
favorite
not good
show
enough,
gonna be
and
on.
I'm
Her
still
feet
doing
gonna
it.
be getting rubbed when she
You
get
know what I
home. 'Cause like,
mean?
see, I'll be house husband in the heck out
There
of that
was a
joint.
lot
I
of
don't
that.
care.
There
I
was
would
an
still want to
absolute
pursue my
lot of that
goals.
because it
But
was just
listen, if I
like,
gotta be a house husband
so,
for a year
you
or
don't want me
two,
to do
so
it
you
just
go,
because?
get
Okay,
your
well, I'm
money
leaving
up
at 2.
and explore your
You know
career,
what
I
I
bet
mean?
I take care of this
Like,
household like nobody
then
business.
we can
You know what I
figure out
mean?
how to get.
Like, I'll be the best
What you
house
say,
husband you ever
nobody?
did see.
Maybe that's where I got it.
Constantly talks about how
But
she's
men
a
will
wife
see,
and how
other
she would
men will
never
see
be
that
with
as
a man who can't pay the whole
emasculation.
mortgage and take
I
care of her.
see it as
Yeah,
you don't get to
but I
just
know
tell
people
me
like,
what to
oh yeah, your
do
sister. Okay.
without any purpose or reason. You
Listen,
know what I mean?
that's the
Like,
difficulty
if
about it
it's
though.
not
You know what I mean? You
logical,
want a
then you
man that can
can't
do that,
expect and
but you
demand
might have to
for me
ask
to
your
do
sister
this
like
just
some of the
because you
things
said
like,
so.
can she tolerate a
Right.
And
man
I think like
who
it's
is very
treating
assertive and dominant? Like,
it's
no, you
treating me
gonna
like
do
an
this what I
adult,
say
or
because I
treating
pay the
that person
mortgage
like
and
an
I take care
adult,
of you. You
like they
know,
have a
would
brain.
would
You know
she
what I'm
be able
saying?
to
Like
tolerate that as a woman? You
even
know,
if
but you
it's an
saying this man
illusion.
has to bring this to the table and
Like,
he's bringing it to the
look,
table.
tell me your thoughts
But
and stuff. You know what? I
would you be
figured
able
it
to
out.
tolerate what he's
This
bringing
is
to the
actually
table?
the better decision. I mean,
I want
because
someone
you
who
just
helps
want
me,
to
not
feel
takes care of me.
heard,
Facts.
right? And
I'd rather
yes, you still
50-50
want the
regardless if my
right
partner
thing to
works or not.
happen,
That's
but
true.
you just
That's
want to
true.
feel heard. You want to be
It's
Now, if my
important.
considered.
partner
You want
isn't
your
working,
you want your
I'll take
brains
responsibility
and
of the bill
your
because I'm
thoughts
the
to
financial
matter and to
breadwinner.
count
So,
in
you know,
whatever
hey,
decision is
I
being
make the
made.
money.
So
You
it's
go
kind of
ahead and make
like
sure that our finances are taken
back
care of.
to
Just like you
other things
said,
we talked
Jisoo.
about
If
before,
I
like a
make all the
little bit of
money, I'm gonna get the
validation.
money
Like
to
I
my
hear
wife.
you,
She gonna put it in our bank
what you're
account, which I don't
saying.
know. I don't want her to have her
However,
own. I want
this
to make
may
sure I
be
can
the
use the
better
money too.
decision.
You know, put it in our bank account, and
Right.
you
But
pay the
I
bills
feel
on
Yeah.
time. If
like
the bill
when
ain't
it
paid on
comes
time,
to
I'm gonna be looking at you like,
like
babe, you dropping the ball. What's going
men
on?
who are
You know,
like,
what's
it's
happening?
my, I feel like it
Why
can
the
get
bill wasn't paid?
more
And if she's like,
controlling
oh, cause
rather
you
than
ain't do
being,
well, nah. We talked about
I'm
this.
trying to lead you
This is
type
supposed to be
aspect.
your responsibility,
And
just
I
Yes.
like it's
think
my
that's
responsibility
where it
to
becomes the
bring the bread
problem.
home.
Is because
Hmm.
you're
Think
trying to
that
control me.
I
think
drive like crap,
November.
so a lot of
I
passion
think
you are about
that
this. I
the
do get a
man
little.
who
Sometimes I
feels
get a
like
little
he
too
should
passionate. Like I
lead
said, sometimes I
just
get triggered,
because
and I
he's a
gotta work on that
man
to make sure I don't
is
lose my
where the
focus.
problem will
Because
come
I
in.
gotta make sure I
Candace, I
maintain my
think
demeanor to be able to
the
have
type
constructive
the type
debates,
of
even when
dude
somebody
who
triggers
I
me.
can that
I don't have kids, right?
I'm
We are
thinking of
partners. I
is
love that.
someone
See
who wants
it.
to
Hey,
spoil
look, mug
you
chick. That's why
and
I'm
wants
here.
to lead you because they just want, hey, what you need, what you want. I
Those
got
nonsense
you.
8
You know what I
hours are
mean?
split the
I
drive
want
in
to
half.
lead you. Let me help
Exactly.
guide you.
I
Let
don't
me
want to
help
be
take
16
some of the
hours
stress
driving
off of
straight.
your
Let's split
back.
this choice
I'm going to
50-50.
lead you because
Have to be
I
able to
got a
express your
friend who
thoughts
just
without
got
getting
married,
angry at each other.
and she's probably
Absolutely.
not watching, but her name is Tanya.
That
And
is
she just
just the
recently got
basis
married
of
like a
healthy
year ago,
communication.
and
Expressing
she
yourself
married a
without getting
guy
mad at each other.
who
House
he's
husbands, where they at?
he works on buildings. He
Technically, I'm
does
kind
all
of a
of this
house husband because I'm
masculine
just in
stuff.
school right now. So
And he gives her freedom, but yet and still
in
he
the meantime,
spoils
I enjoy
her.
cleaning and
His
occasionally cooking.
leadership
Yeah,
is his
I do
leadership
enough
is to
cooking
make
for
her
sure.
happy. Does that
Like,
make sense?
respect. Let me be me and play your
Yeah.
strengths. I'll play mine. Let's
Yeah.
take over the war
Leadership
together.
is because I want to make you happy. I want to lead you, and like you
Yeah.
said, Candace, and take this burden off of you.
I think such a
I
big
wanna
part of
lead
this
you
conversation that
because
was kind of overlooked
you're
and
my
kind of
baby
missed
doll. 'Cause you're
was
my,
Exactly.
the idea of
lead
communication.
me because
Because
you love me.
the
Lead
idea
me because
of
you
how
want
you
You
lead a
have a
person and
plan.
what you say,
Yeah.
it is so
and
based in
and
how you say
want me
it,
to be
not
comfortable.
just what you
Lead
say.
me
Because so many women can be more comfortable
because
with being led
you
by a man
care
who
and not
communicates with them
because it's
in
the
a
man's
healthy
place to
and
do so.
kind way, in a gentle
Well,
way.
I wouldn't even be
You
mad
know,
at that as
if a
long as it
man
didn't
feels like
turn
it's
into,
emasculating to communicate gently with his
which,
woman,
like I said, is
then
a
you're
slippery
gay.
slope.
Like,
Because
because you're like, who do you want? You want to talk to
if
other
you
men?
take
Like, because the way
pride
that you're
in
talking
that,
to your
and
woman
that
in this
creates
barking tone and this
positive
rude and
behaviors,
angry
I have
tone,
nothing to do. I
then
have
it sounds more
nothing
like you want to
against
talk
that.
to
Like
men
if you're like,
who
no,
will
I'm a
give you back some
man. This is
pushback.
how.
But that's
This
the
is
way that
what
you're
my
talking. It sounds like you
understanding
want
of
to talk to
what
other
a
men. You
man's
don't want to talk to women
responsibility
because
is, and I'm
talking
going
to a
do
woman
that
in a
for you.
barking and rude and
I
aggressive
can't
and
argue
oppressive
against
tone
that.
will most likely get you
But
nowhere and will
like
most
then
likely
you
get you
gotta, you know,
pushback
like
and
what
the
does
same
that
kind of
all
pushback that
look
you might
like?
complain
And that's
about. You
where,
know, you might
like you
complain,
said
oh,
earlier,
these
that's where it
women
gets
out here
kind of
always
dicey.
fighting back. Well, how are
Because
you
it's
talking to
like,
these women?
okay,
Because
well,
I have known
is
that
it
some
like,
women
yes, you
are
know, you have my best interest in
very
mind, or is it like
kind
November was
and
saying
easy to
more towards the
communicate with,
like the
but
controlling
they get
side?
talked
So,
down to in
but
such
I
oppressive
do have to
ways
jump off of
that they
here
do
though.
have to, you
Yes,
know,
I
get
was about
higher.
to say those were my final words as far as um, why men want a submissive woman. I think if a man wants a woman submit to him because of religion and because he's a man, I just don't think that I just think that that's I just
Not
don't
good
think
enough.
that that's good. Yeah, I don't think that that's good. And I just yeah. November, what's your final thoughts?
I like your shirt.
Thanks. I don't have any.
You don't have any final thoughts?
What would your suggestion be for a man who for a man who feels like he wants to be the head of the household? What would he need to bring to the table in order to be the leader of the house?
Honestly, like, I wouldn't even say like. Honestly, I don't even
I was
know how to
cooking when this was
describe
brought
it.
up, so
Like,
I
you
didn't
just
get the
have to
comment. You
have
said you want your
respect
woman
for
to
me.
respect you,
Like,
not just
you
because
have
you're the
to
man, and I
look
kept
at
hoping
me
you would
like
say
a
because you
human
are
being and
respectable.
not just,
Well, I feel
I
like
don't
that's
know,
not
something
necessarily
you're
up for me to
utilizing or
determine.
that's
It's more of a
keeping
thing
something. I
that
don't really know how to explain
is
it.
for
Like,
people to decide.
I don't
Because it's
know.
almost like saying
Just
like I'm a
treat me
smart man.
nicely.
Like I don't really
Yes.
get to determine that. Like
Yes.
I can
No.
say I think
That was
I like
good. That
to
was
I
be,
take
I don't
pride in
know, treated
trying
like a
my
little
best to
princess.
be articulate and as
yes.
intelligent as I
Yes. And
can
then
be
you'll let
and
him
well
be the head
informed.
of the household.
But to say I'm intelligent
Yep, then you
goes
can do
against
whatever
the
you
kind
want.
of
I
the
can't yell.
hubris that I
Okay,
don't
he
want.
said
I
I
don't
can't
like
yell.
hubris. I
Sorry.
don't like cockiness.
Right. Exactly.
So if it's like, nah, I'm an intelligent dude, I know it. Nah, like
Wait, I
I'll
wanted to
believe in
ask you a
myself and I'll be
question though.
confident,
Like,
but and so I'll be like, no, I'm
I
well
don't
informed
think
about this, so I
November.
trust that I might know what I'm
Did I
talking
ask you
about. You
earlier
know,
about
um,
what
so I wouldn't say
was
that it's
it
like I'm
that you
respectable. It's
found
just that
attractive
you know,
about
if
being
you
led?
respect me, you know,
Good
then
question.
then I would just want these
You
things to
said I
be
did.
inherent in our
You said I know. I
relationship.
remember.
Yeah.
Didn't
You
you say
know,
you don't know? Did you ever
but yeah,
answer
don't
it?
respect me because I'm a man, but
No,
respect me because
I
of who
did.
I
I said
am
I
to
didn't
you.
know.
Respect me
Oh.
because of the
No, it's
qualities
just
that you observe from me
it's just
that you
the look.
like.
Like,
Respect me
when
because
I
I'm Daquan. You
visualize a
know,
man leading
respect
me,
me
like, I think
because
of like
Oh
you
yes, that's
look
right.
at
I'm
me and you
sorry.
say,
Okay.
this person is
Manly
respectable and
man.
I want to treat them with
Manly
respect
man.
because
yeah,
I feel like they deserve that
and there is
respect.
nothing like
Not
a
because
manly
I'm going to
man.
treat this person
Oh,
with respect because he's got a dick. Like having a
Manly
dick
man
are
is
not the
delicious,
requirements of
but
So
respect.
how does it
You are
make you
not
feel?
entitled
How does
to
it make you
respect
feel?
and authority because you have dick.
it makes me feel.
It's not. That's
I
not how that
don't know.
works.
So
It makes me
imagine.
feel
That's what I mean.
important.
Because she respects you as you are, not because you're a man.
Okay.
Absolutely, Vanessa.
So
Because for
Exactly.
a
you.
manly man to
I'm not
view
smart
you
at
and
all.
then
Jessica,
treat you
sure you
like
are.
a princess,
Man, smart. I was agreeing with
it
soft-spoken
says
comment.
something.
Mm. Feel special.
So it makes me
Like
feel
I'm very
important
Mm.
because
soft-spoken, but
men
with respect in
listen
my
to
mouth.
women.
Yeah. I
They
feel like a
do,
lot
and
of
that's
people
why I
can get
say
like that though.
there's
Like if
power in
they're
submission
disrespected,
because
they can get
men value
disrespectful.
women's opinion,
I'm not supposed
but
to have
it's
learned that some
their
people have
women,
different points of view and
their
don't want to live that
woman
way
that they
I
value.
live.
Do you like
That is
the
the life they want. Yeah.
transformation that
I don't always
they
get that
they
respect
make
back,
for you?
and then I gotta go off. Yeah. I think it just depends on the
Um,
severity of the disrespect for me. Because I
it
can
may
go
be
Meaning,
off
too.
and I
because when
might
you
Yeah.
feel
say
like I
manly
have to go
man,
off.
I'm imagining like you're thinking of like a more aggressive, like rough around the edges type man.
No.
She means
Okay.
like a builder. She means like a builder,
Yes.
somebody who works, somebody
Yes.
who
Like
kind
you
of
can
goes out
see
there
Okay,
with the
yeah.
jackhammer.
Just
Okay,
watch
Yes,
Forged in
that's what I
Fire.
was thinking, like a lumberjack type
yes,
dude.
yes.
Yeah.
Like
That's what I was.
yes,
or you know what I mean? Like you know how to build a gazebo. You
yes.
know, like that kind.
Okay.
But I do like aggressive looks. But if you're aggressive, it has to be facing that way and not towards me. That's the only way I like
Okay,
it.
so okay, you just like a man. Okay, okay, so you like
Yes.
a man,
So,
and it makes you feel special that they are
yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It makes me
Mhm.
feel special because I'm the kind of girl where you
Big
have
girl,
to tell
stop
me
it. What are you
like
eating on?
you don't you don't have to buy me flowers all the time or like tell me I'm pretty all the time. Like, yeah, I would like you to tell me I'm pretty, but at the same time, you do show it in your actions. You don't always have to tell me. You show me by how you treat me.
And my mother shaking my head. She uses the
How
cane
I
to still be
feel.
talking mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go low, I'm
Yeah.
going to hell.
I agree.
That's
And
funny.
sometimes it's hard
No,
to
funny.
get
I
that
agree
from
too.
those type of men.
Yeah, I kind of feel like
Hard
that
to
a
get
little
that.
bit. You go low, you go to hell, I'll meet you there.
Yeah,
You know.
them aggressive ones too.
I have to chin check them. Daquan, you have
Yeah.
any final words?
Man, I feel like I was just full of questions. This.
I'm going to
Good
get,
question.
this is what I want
Yeah.
to do, Daquan. This is what I want to do with you. I'm going to get Curtis and I'm going to get this, I'm going to get these two other guys and try to make a schedule to get you online to talk to them,
Oh,
because
sure.
they're very, they are very like,
Yeah.
men, me say
Me
so.
me
The
big
one,
man.
especially the one who was like alpha,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
That
get you online with them.
the interesting thing about that is just because it's like, that conversation is sometimes tough to have because like you saw when I would have conversations with Uncle Kevin and like a lot of men that I've encountered who live by that alpha kind of thing, they're very hard to communicate with, especially if you don't agree with what they're saying.
Oh,
And
and
so
then they'll dog you, because
yeah.
I
We've
actually
been on live where men have come at my neck and tried to, be disrespectful to me because I didn't agree with them, calling me soft and all types of stuff. So we've
oh, they
literally
was gonna
had this
beat you
happen.
up and all that.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
this. We've had this
yeah.
happen on shows, on live shows,
Threats,
where it was
like
like,
real life
yeah,
threats.
like
We
actually
got
threatening
threatened
me. Like I'm
multiple
like,
times.
yo, like because I don't see eye to eye with you on this. Like,
But
it's
you
That's
are
the
talking
lack
to
of
dogmatic men.
emotional availability that we were talking
That's
about
that's what I'm
earlier.
saying, right? So I think that I would be totally open with it, but sometimes,
Emotional regulation.
I have to prepare myself for the fact that sometimes conversations like that can go wide left because some of those men can be so dogmatic, and a lot of those men don't really take a lot of pride in being able to communicate effectively because they don't have to, because in their world, me big man, me say so. So why would they need to be able to effectively communicate? So that's something
I
I look forward to, but it is something, to
that you're
just keep
kind
in
of
mind.
hesitant on.
I'm not hesitant at
Yeah,
all. I listen. If somebody wants to
I
to
already know you.
come
Yeah,
challenge me in a marketplace of ideas, I'm here. But
yeah.
yeah. So I just putting that out there. But final thoughts. Men are not inherently the head of the household. You aren't born uh uh wired to lead. You are programmed to think you are. You are socially conformed to think that you are superior to women because of the gender you were born with. Um, so I think that I'm okay with however you want to perceive having a head of the household, being the man and being the head of the household. I'm okay with that. But from my perspective, I think that if you decide that gender is the qualifying category that you use to determine if somebody is going to be your leader, then I feel like you are always going to be lacking against the side that decides that they are going to go based off of actual qualifications to determine who is going to be their leader. And that's why
Wow,
we had
that's
that
powerful.
qualification. That's why we had that conversation. Me and Candace had that conversation about contextualizing your leader. You know, determine who is going to be the leader under these specific circumstances, not based off of whether they have a dick or a vagina, but based off of their qualifications, their specialties, their knowledge, their
Me.
upbringing, what they have to bring to the table. So yeah, that's my final thoughts. It don't matter if you were born a man or a woman. That doesn't make you inherently entitled to lead.
That was that. Hey.
That's
See, it's
great.
November. That's somebody you can let lead you, right? Because they're they're leading you because
Yeah.
I'm just nice. You know what I mean? I'm nice, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to change your tire. I'm going to fix the door lock. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm not, that to me is someone where I was saying like, you're going to lead because, hey, this is what I'm good at. But then I'm gonna need you to lead over here, and that's all I was saying, is that relationship should be unity, and each person leads.
Mhm.
But thank you guys for joining us. I know we did 2 hours
This is
again.
this is probably
Wow.
what to expect. Hour and a half, 2 hours. I said that a while ago. So we have deep
But I
topics. We're
think
typically gonna be about an hour and a half.
that this was great,
Yeah.
because I never,
We even had a fifth
Candace,
member
your
on today.
points were amazing. And November, wow, I never really even thought, because you even made it interesting to even want me to think about both of y'all. I was like, do I want a leader? And then I listened to Daquan like, yeah, I got it right.
Right. No, stop it. Listen to them. They got very valid good points.
And that's the type of shows that I like, because I was just like, I'm listening to this November like, yeah. Then I'm listening to Candace like, damn girl, okay, yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with a leader.
Yeah.
And Daquan is like, no, and I'm like, yeah, no. So
Hey, Daquan.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I should have just shut up.
Candace, you almost had me a couple times on the show. You almost had me a couple times where I'll be sitting there listening to you like, yeah. And then I'll listen to Daquan like, no.
Men aren't bored. You have a dick. That doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm Tasha Neal Harris. Thanks so much for joining me. You can catch me at the Tasha Neal Show on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure my baby girl over here is.
I am Candace, Candy Ray Productions on Instagram and YouTube, and also the Inner Circle series on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook.
I am G's Day G's Day on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube. That's where I be at.
I'm Ben BBMs. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I don't do anything special, so.
Thanks. Hey, this was a great conversation. I
Great
loved
conversation.
Yeah, this
Loved
was
it.
fun.
Thanks everybody.
All right, guys.
Love y'all.
Bye.
Next week.
I love you.
Bye.